What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to Voice of the Fans podcast. We are on a little early today, but we're going to get you started. We're going to give you the fresh content as we always do. We'll get the show started. Waiting on my man. We're going to get until he comes. We're going to get the show started off like this.
Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name is Cameron.
Cam Buford.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
This is a big, big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
I'm not worried about him right now. I'm worried about Crawford. I'm trying to get that fight made.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy.
Of course I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Once you finish him off, do you feel you get the credit and the respect you deserve there?
It really don't matter. I'm just on a mission to become the best, welterweight in the division. After I get him, I want to fight the next best guy, the next best guy, the next best guy. Then once I clear the division, I'm going to move up.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter, and the fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show Voice of the
Oh
Fan
my goodness!
continues to
I'm in
evolve,
tears.
Come on, you were adding some spice to it.
it is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
The real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, Pacific Northwest, so I think it's a big part of my game. And every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent my city.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy for the whole
Ken. Nobody.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's Big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sport. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
What's good, fans? Give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause for chiming in during the Western Conference Finals right now. Got my man Cleveland. That's a fresh dope cap you got on. That's a fresh icky one, huh? That's the icky one. The black bill, the old school pitchfork. So you've already it's baseball season already for you. Is it that you've already you've already just submitted your loss to the Nuggets?
No. Well, I mean, obviously, if the Los Angeles Lakers were able to beat the Denver Nuggets, it would be, somewhat of a historic event. Given the way the Denver Nuggets are assembled, and having the two-time MVP and Nikola Jokic, that would be quite a feat to accomplish. So,
answer the question: have you moved on? Is it baseball season for you, and you've given up on your Lakers moving on to the NBA Finals? Answer that question.
Well, certainly you don't give up on a team that has
the question. Answer the question.
No, I haven't given up on them, but again, it would be insurmountable. Incredible odds for them to be able to accomplish that feat. But I haven't given up on them.
The hat is dope. The hat is dope. I'll give you credit for that.
Thank you, sir.
I take that as a sign of you giving up on your Lakers, who are down by 20, or down by 18, going into the locker room right now. See if Darvin Ham can crack the whip and get these guys get their attention. What have you seen so far in this first half? It's just the first half of game one. It's the first half of game one, so we can't get too excited. But it is a 2-point deficit right now.
For sure, the Denver Nuggets are playing great, can do no wrong. I mean, the Joker is dealing. Jamal Murray is hitting shots. Michael Porter Jr. is doing his thing. Aaron Gordon's doing what they brought him over to do as well. Only thing is missing is Bones Highland. because he was shipped out to the Los Angeles Clippers to.
They got Caldwell Pope for that though. They got Caldwell Pope
help out with that with that playoff run, which ended kind of unceremoniously. But other than that, the Denver Nuggets are clicking on all cylinders. 72 points first half. We're gonna do.
If they get Michael Porter Jr., last I checked, he had 10 points. Let me see what he got. Michael Porter Jr. If he gets 20 points, if they get 20 points a game out of Michael Porter Jr., they can't be beat. I think we mentioned that earlier, some point this season. If they get 20 points a game from Michael Porter Jr., with Jokic doing his thing, with Murray doing his thing, and with Aaron Gordon playing his defense and getting the rebounds, they're not going to be beat. They're not going to be beat all the way through. That's how I see things going. So, fans, I want to thank you guys once again for chiming in early. Voice of the Fans podcast. This is week 241 of the Voice of the Fans podcast, Mr. Cleveland. 5 show topics today. Obviously, we're going to talk about NBA playoff. We're going heavy on NBA this week. We just had the draft lottery, so we're going to talk about that, how that draft lottery seemed kind of rigged to me. I don't know how you felt up in the Northwest, but that draft lottery seemed kind of sketchy. Years ago, they stopped showing the ping pong balls after they pulled out the frozen envelope. Then they went to the ping pong balls, but we haven't seen the ping pong balls for several years now, and it just was kind of odd. It just was kind of odd how the San Antonio Spurs 2 years ago trade away most of their talent. This past season, they trade away DeJounte Murray in hopes of, what do we call him? The Victor? What is his nickname? The Wimbyana? Do it all? Do it all, Yana? What do we call this guy? We got to come up with a nickname.
Oh, it's not time for nicknames just yet.
The
Trust
future
me,
is either
they will
future.
come up with one that's very wax poetic and it will stick.
I think it's going to be the future. I think it's going to be the future because the way this dude is changing, he's going to change the game. It's just going to be beyond ridiculous. But we got the NBA. We're going to talk about the NBA NFL schedule release. It came out last week, so we got a chance to look at some teams on the schedule and make some early predictions. NHL playoffs, man. How much of the Kraken did you watch, Cleveland? We're going to get into that and get to some of my observations of watching the Kraken the last couple nights. They lost Game 7, but to be a game away from the Western Conference Finals in their second season, the Kraken, I'm going to compare them to another team up there in Seattle, and it clearly didn't make anybody. It didn't make people happy up there. But I got my reasons and I got my explanation. We're going to talk about that as well. Got some Major League Baseball. Aaron Judge is in the news. Are the Yankees sign stealing? Are the Yankees, the big old bad Yankees, sign stealing now? We're going to talk about that as well. We're going to touch on some boxing. I don't know if you guys watched Rolando. The gift he was given on Saturday night, it was absolutely atrocious, Cleveland. It was actually beyond atrocious. We can get into that as well. Each and every week, though, we go off talk of playing with our numbers game. May 16th, 241 of the Cleveland. When you think of the number 16, Cleveland, who wore the number best? So who's going to get my first?
The number 16 who comes to mind first and who worked the best is the same player, and that's Joe Montana.
I thought you was going to try to go somewhere else with that. I thought you was going to try it. But yeah, Joe, I was never a fan of San Francisco 49ers and Joe Montana. But, they were an example of a guy ahead of his time creating an offense, a revolutionary offense, Cleveland, that we still see in the game today. And when you tell me coaching doesn't matter, that's a prime example of what coaching does. That coach created an offense back in 1981. Cleveland, how old were you in 1981? Were you even double digits? Were you even in double digits?
9 years
you
old.
weren't even in middle school by then.
No.
And that offense that was created by the head coach, none of the players, by the head coach, Cleveland, they still run variations of that offense today. And you want to tell me coaching doesn't matter. But Joe took that offense and just turned it into 4 of them. Bing, 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 bing. Over the decade, which made them the dynasty of the 80s, one of the early dynasties or second dynasties that we come to know in the league. When you think of the number 41, Cleveland, outside of Eugene Robinson, Seahawk great, former Seahawk great, left Seattle and found some turmoil. Outside of Eugene Robinson, who comes?
No. He left Seattle and then got into some turmoil after he left Seattle.
That's what I said. He went into some he left Seattle, went into some turmoil. Had a good season, but
he was the humanitarian of the year, the Walter Payton Man of the Year. And it was too late. It was too late to revoke the voting. Because it happened on Super Bowl Eve. It was like,
So they just so Goodell, or was it Pete Rozelle at the time, just didn't give out the award that year?
That was tackling abuse. Right?
They just didn't give out the award that year, huh?
No, they gave it to him. It was real crunchy when they gave it to him. Like, wow. They got to do it because it's too late to redo everything. So here you go.
That was wild. So number 41, who wore the number best? Or who comes to mind first, or who wore the number the best?
41 is kind of a weird number. I would have to go with Wes Unseld, bro.
Wes Unseld? Wore it better than Dirk?
No, actually, Dirk wore it better. Excuse me for that. For not bringing that one up, the third greatest scorer in the history of basketball. Yeah, no, he probably actually wore it better than Wes. Yeah, excuse me, fans, for that omission. It's certainly Dirk.
Okay. So Cleveland, last week we had the NFL schedule release. Now we're not gonna go through every team, but what I want to look at, Cleveland, is. Let's start with your Seattle Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
I know you studied their schedule, looked at it pretty toughly, considering barring injuries. Now, barring injuries, the team is pretty much what it is. It's in football, it's highly unlikely that they make a big free agent acquisition going into the offseason or coming out of the offseason, unless there's some, again, traumatic injuries that happen. Barring injury, the team is pretty much set. So you got your home, the home teams. You got the Rams, Panthers, Cardinals, Browns, the Commanders, the Niners, the Eagles, and the Steelers. That's your home team. The road teams, Cleveland, you have the Detroit Lions, up and coming Detroit Lions, the New York Giants, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Baltimore Ravens, the Rams, the Cowboys, the 49ers, the Tennessee Titans, and once again, the Arizona Cardinals. Cleveland, what do you see out of that? Out of those teams, what do you predict your record would be? This is early, obviously, but barring injuries, with your roster as it is, I got 11-6. Legitimate 11-6. What do you got?
Optimistically, I have 11-6. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, 9-8. Absolute fall off the map, 7-10 or less.
Fall off the map? I mean, if Geno, you see a regression or a regression to the mean from Geno to put him at 7-10? I mean, I don't see that possible. The Rams, you should beat the Rams. The Lions, I don't think you beat the Lions. The Panthers, you should beat the Panthers. So that's 2. The Giants, I'll give you the Giants. It is in New York, but I'll give you the Giants. So that's 3 wins right there. That's 3 wins. You guys, right off the bat, that's 3-1. 3-2 because you lose to the Bengals. You beat the Cardinals. You beat the Browns. The Ravens, I don't know about the Ravens. So I'm going to say that's 5 wins right now. I'm going to say that's what, 5-2 right now? 5-3? The only 3 losses I got to the Lions, Bengals, and Ravens. You should beat the Commanders. The Commanders should be beat. So that's 6. The Rams, I think you'll split with the Rams and the Niners. It's just that divisional rival, that divisional thing. I think you'll split with the Rams and Niners. So that's 5-4. The Niners, again, I think you'll split with them. So let's just say that's 6-5. The Cowboys, you beat the Cowboys. You got Niners, Cowboys, Niners, and then Eagles. Oof, that's a tough little month right there. November, late November. The holidays weren't very fortuitous for you guys. And then Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Cardinals. You should finish off with 3 wins. So that's where I got your 9 wins at worst. And if you can beat the Cowboys, there's 10 wins. I got 11-6. Where am I wrong?
No, that's about right. I mean, best case scenario. Again, we can't really say for 100% sure. And you know how I feel about doing these things before.
Well, I'm not. This one, I'm not holding it to you. I got my numbers down there. I'm not holding this to you. I'm not holding you accountable to this one. But I'm just telling you what I got. Fans and letting the fans know. Starting early at this point in the season in May before training camp starts. This is what I got the Seahawks doing. Now you don't sound so confident in the Seahawks for whatever reason. For whatever reason, you don't sound so confident in the Seahawks. Well, let's look at the Miami Dolphins, where you just talked about how you don't like to make these predictions, but you'll quickly make the predictions and say the Dolphins don't make the playoffs. That's gonna find that kind of odd. How one team you're a little sketchy with, but another team you're quickly in May 16th, 2023, you're ready to say they will not make the playoffs. Fans, this is the hypocrisy isn't the exact word for it, but this is how inconsistent he is with his predictions. He just said, you just heard him say less than 45 seconds ago, you know how I don't want to make these, how uncomfortable I am making these type of predictions. But then I bring up the Miami Dolphins, and he's ready to say unequivocally, without a doubt, they will not make the playoffs. Am I right or wrong? I'm making stuff up. You tell me.
No, Cam, I take a look at their schedule, and I understand where they've been and where they're going, and their roster and their culture over there. It's not happening. Unfortunately, they play in the AFC, and there's just too many really, really good teams, and that's this kind of thing.
How somebody asked this man, how is he so confident on making the prediction on one team, but not willing to, cross that confident line on another team? I don't get it. But
I mean, Cam, we've dissected the the Miami Dolphins ad nauseum, and when we know what they can and can't do, and we've seen the improvements the other teams in the AFC have made, and the Dolphins are going to be on the outside looking in when that all comes to fruition.
And it's hard to argue with them because I have them going 9-8. I have them going to 9-8, and that may not get it done. They start off with the Chargers, which will probably be an L. Start off with the Chargers in Los Angeles. That's going to be L. They do play the Patriots. They play the Broncos and Buffalo. So there's 2-2 right now. 2-2 in their first 4
Wow.
weeks.
I'm so sorry. What teams are they beating on that?
The Patriots and the Broncos. Patriots.
They're beating the Patriots for sure, huh?
The Patriots and the Broncos smack them up, rub them down. They go to Buffalo. They lose that game in Buffalo. The Giants. I'm gonna say they beat the Giants.
Okay.
I'm gonna say they beat the Cardinals, or excuse me, the Panthers.
Okay.
So right there, what's that? 4-4 or 4-3? Excuse me. They lose to the Chargers. They lose to the Bills. So we're 4-2. We lose to the Eagles, 4-3. Beat the Patriots, 4-4. Lose to the Chiefs, 4-5, going into the bye week. We got the Raiders. That's a W. So that's 5-5 in week 11, going to the Raiders. Then we play the Jets. Now we'll probably split with the Jets, like we'll split with the Bills. So I'm gonna give us this first win. Well, the Jets will beat us on the road. So that's 6-6. We got the Commanders. We should beat the Commanders. We should beat the Titans. 8-6. We should beat the Jets at home. That's 9-6. Lose to the Cowboys, Ravens, and Buffalo Bills. And that's that's
8-9. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's 9-8 right there.
Okay,
That's my 9-8.
Well, that's not going to make the playoffs, Playboy, in the AFC.
It might not make the playoffs. I mean, we're gonna have to get a lot of help at that point, because we're gonna be in the playoff hunt going into the last 3 weeks. But we lose to the Cowboys, we lose to the Ravens, providing the Ravens have Lamar Jackson healthy, and we lose to the Buffalo Bills. So that's gonna be a tough end of the tough December for us. But that's 9-8, and that's gonna be a tough. That will be a tough look. The last team, Cleveland. Again, we can't do every team, the whole NFL. The last team we're going to look at is the Los Angeles Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers, I got going 10-7. Los Angeles Chargers, I have them going 10-7. I have them beating the Dolphins, beating the Titans, beating the Vikings, beating the Raiders.
Vikings. You sure?
Beating the Vikings, yes.
Okay.
With who's the Vikings quarterback?
Kirk Cousins still.
So they're 4-0. They got an early bye though. The early bye is not really good. The fifth week 5, they got a bye. That's not really good for NFL teams. Like, you still have 12 more games to go. They got the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the division rival. They're split with the Chiefs. I'm gonna say they lose to the Cowboys, so they're 4-1. They lose the Chiefs. This one's away, so that's 4-2. They beat the Bears. That's 5-2. The Jets. I think they beat the Jets. I think they beat the Jets. 6-2. The Lions. Woo. I want to say they beat the Lions, but I'm gonna say they lose to the Lions. So that's 6-3. They beat the Patriots, or they beat the Packers. Excuse me. They beat the Packers. So that's 7-2, right?
You're about 7-3, Playboy, and
Okay,
you got them beating the Lions, or some you got them losing to the Lions, but beating the Jets. That's not going to happen. So continue with
the
your
Jets.
the
Lions
with your fairy tale dream sequence of how this season is going to go.
Hold on, they're 6-2. Hold on, help me out. They go 4-0. They start off 4-0. They lose to the Cowboys.
They don't start off 4-0. Actually, read the 4 again, man. There's no way they're going to win.
Dolphins, Titans, Vikings, Raiders, 4-0.
Okay, they're not going to beat the Vikings. That's not going to happen.
They start off 4-0, going into the bye. They lose to the Vikings. They lose to the Cowboys. They lose to the Chiefs. Right there, 4-2. They beat the Bears, 5-2. They beat the Jets, 6-2. They lose to the Lions, 6-3. They beat the Packers, 7-3. They lose to the Ravens, 7-4. They beat the Patriots, 8-4. They beat the Broncos, 9-4. They already beat the Raiders. I think they'll beat the Raiders and the Broncos both times. 10-4. They beat the Broncos, or excuse me, they beat the Raiders, 10-4. They lose to the Bills. They lose to the Bills, so that's 10-5. They beat the Broncos 11-6.
That's 11-5 going into the last game of the season. And who they play?
They play the Chiefs at home. They get them. They already lost to the Chiefs. They get the Chiefs at home.
So 12-5 is what you got.
Wow. I got them 12-5. On my paper, I got them. I said 10-7, but I just read it off. That's 11-5 right there. That's 12-5. The Chargers go 12-5. At worst 11-6.
Cam,
that's playoff.
I bet you all of your worldly possessions and all of your income for the next 116 years, they will not win 12 games this year.
What's up, George? They will not win how many games?
12.
And put your email in the chat. I'll send you the link, George. Put your email in the chat. Put your email in the chat. I'll send you a link. You say all the worldly possessions they do not.
No, I said all of your worldly possessions and all of your income for the next 137 years, they don't win 12 games this season.
How many games do you have them winning?
9 or 10.
Huh?
9 or 10.
9 or 10. So we're 2 games away.
Now you said they were going 12-5. That's a really, really good team.
And you think they're gonna stink? Is that what you're telling me?
Cam, they've proven that they're not who you think they are. And you know that.
You don't think last season? What do you think last season did for them?
Nothing. It gave a little bit of relief to Staley because he was definitely
he gave him some relief.
So you can kind of try and do this again, but that didn't work.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Check your email, George. Check your email. You just said they gave him a little life. Is that what you're telling me?
Gave him a little life. One more season
of
that kumbaya nonsense. We're football players out here.
I mean, come on. We know there are football players out there. Which team will there be a surprise team? Now you're banking on Saleh and the Jets. I know you are already before the season starts. You're banking on Saleh and the Jets to surprise the league, right? Is that what you say would be your surprise team? My surprise team is going to be the Lions, Detroit Lions. I think they're going to be better than anticipated.
Yeah, Cam, I can't really call the Jets a surprise team getting Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback, given what they have on their roster at present.
Okay, so fine, great, absolutely.
That won't be a surprise
because they're not going to surprise anybody. You're right. That's not a surprise
when they do what they're going to do. I mean, that's not going to be.
And what do you say they're going to do? What do you say they're going to do? Because anything above 8 or 9 wins will be a surprise for the rest of the NFL. What do you predict they'll do?
Oh, I feel them at about 10 or 11 wins, Cam.
Cut it out, man. Right now, we're going to bring in Mr. Tech Wizard. Mr. All everything tech. Mr. George Howard from Nashville, Tennessee. What's good, big dog? What's good?
Hey, what's good? How y'all doing?
Doing all right, bro.
George Cleveland, George. What's happening, big guy?
Man, I just want to hop in there. I don't know what you was talking about with these Chargers, man.
What do you mean? I got the Chargers. I just said 12-5. I ran down the schedule. You got an argument with the schedule?
They're not. Number one. When they play actual competition, they quit.
Ooh.
So somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it.
So you don't think that 27-point lead that they gave up in the playoffs, you don't think they learned anything from that? You don't think they recovered from that? Is that what you're telling the fans? Is that what you're telling the voice of the fans?
That is exactly what I'm telling. Number one, you lost to an AFC South team who had to come back and beat the Titans to win that division. And you saw what happened to us last year. It got ugly quick.
We're going to get into you guys. So I'm not letting you off the hook, but right now you're trying to bang on the Chargers. We're going to get into you guys. You hold tight. Right now we're talking about the Los Angeles Chargers, and I mean, how are you going to go? I don't understand where you're coming from right now. I'm clueless. Help me understand. Make it make sense to me and the voice of the fans right now, or why you think the Chargers is going to stink it up.
I mean, again, like I'll give you another example. When they played the Chiefs, I think it was the first Thursday night game last year, and
when they played the Super Bowl champions.
Hold on, hear me out. They could have won. They could have won that game. But who was y'all receiver that just gave up on the play, and that was the pick six that sealed it?
I mean, the receiver they drafted. I'm not sure if you know, but they got Quentin Williams out of TCU. That's their receiver now. So now they're going to have Josh Palmer. Now they're going to have Mike Williams. Now they're going to have Keenan Allen. They're going to have Keenan Allen in the slot. They don't put Williams outside.
Can Keenan Allen stay healthy?
I mean, now we got somebody. They got two young receivers that to take some pressure off expectations of Keenan Allen. If he's not, first of all, that's a false narrative that Keenan Allen can't stay healthy. He was injured. He got injured, I think, his second season. For 5 straight seasons, he caught over 100 catches and 1,000 yards. I think there's only 2 receivers that have ever done that in the NFL. Antonio Brown being one of them. 1,000 catches, 100 catches, 1,000 yards, 5 consecutive seasons. It might be 6 consecutive seasons. I'm not looking at the record book right now, but off the top of my head, I think there's only 3 other receivers who've done that. One of them is Antonio Brown. I want to say Tim Brown was the other one, but again, don't quote me on that. But that's only been done by 3 guys. So that's a false narrative that Keenan Allen hasn't been able to stay healthy. He got hurt last year. Yes, he got hurt last year, and he's getting older. So yes, can he stay healthy?
And he's not approaching 30, or he's almost at 30.
Yeah, no, you're right. He's getting older. Yes, he's absolutely getting older. That's why they bring in Williams. That's why they got Palmer. So they have receivers. They got Williams, who's not. He's approaching that injury.
I'm so sorry. Can you say that Palmer name one more time with confidence and authority? Palmer? Is that who you said?
Joshua Palmer.
Joshua Palmer. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We just lost my man.
Okay.
You ain't quit on me, right? Yeah, I mean, I just hit you with a bunch of facts and did you turn off?
I thought you kicked me out because I came for you.
Yes, Joshua Palmer out loud as a threat to do something.
So I'm trying to pull up your schedule right now. So you don't have no faith in. Tell me, because you're gonna break a debate right now. So you say you don't have any faith in the Chargers. Is it? You don't have faith in Justin Herbert. You don't have faith in the coaching staff. You don't have faith in the regime. What talk to me? What don't you have faith in when you talk about the Chargers?
I have faith in Justin Herbert because again, I'm going back to when he played the Chiefs. That man got beat up, and then I think it was like a 3rd and maybe 2 or 3, whatever it was. It was in the 4th quarter, and he had to get the first to convert, and he couldn't run. And then they tried to stop him. They threw him back out. Then he threw a dot on like the 1 yard line, then he threw that pick. So I have a lot of faith in Justin Herbert. I mean, he's nice. He's a nice quarterback. I think our receivers are kind of aging out, to be real. And I don't like
just after one, Josh Palmer. I just told you. Okay, go ahead.
But he's a rookie, though. You think? I mean,
Palmer's in. This will be Palmer's 3rd year. Quentin Williams. He's gonna slowly fill in for Mike Williams and or Keenan Allen, either one of them, because to your point, Keenan Allen is the eldest. He's going to need somebody to give him some relief. So to your point, you're absolutely right about that. That's why they got a number 1 receiver. That's why they drafted a receiver with the number 20 pick. Palmer's ready to step in. Trust me, Palmer's putting in the work. He's ready to step in. And then Herbert makes these receivers look good. So he'll make you and I look good out there. So,
well, that's debatable. I can't.
well, maybe I don't know what your 40 time is, but no, Herbert's able to help them out. So
I mean, yeah, Herbert's nice. I mean, it's not Herbert. I definitely don't think it's Herbert. I mean, it may get down to coaching. I mean, because then again, how do you have, what was it, a 27-point collapse? How does that happen?
Because they can't run the ball. That happens because they're unable to run the ball. Period. End of story. That happens because they weren't able to run the ball in that game 100%. So that could be the mainstay. But then you keep in mind they lost their number one draft. They lost their all-pro lineman, their all-pro tackle. That line by the playoff time was they had third stringers in that playing on that line. Their sixth round draft pick was starting in place of their tackle, which couldn't protect Herbert. So their line was washed. But now, considering them all healthy, and we're talking in May. Obviously, injuries play a huge factor. But their line, they had their all-pro line tackle was out from week 3 or 4 on, and never came back in. So their line was in shambles by that time, and they couldn't run the ball. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They gave up that lead because they could not run the ball. Period.
Yeah.
So my man. So again, you're going to solve it. You would solve a debate because my man doesn't have any faith in the regime, Brandon Staley, the regime going for it on 4th down. Cleveland has no faith in that. So you're right. You're right along with them. You really tickled his fancy when you came on here and said they can't get it done.
I mean,
but both of you guys are wrong. I don't have no faith in saying that. I have the Chargers. I just read it off. I had it on paper. I had 10-7. I just read it off. I said 12-5. So we'll split the difference 11-6.
Just say what you feel, bro. Speak the truth about this thing. Speak the truth.
So he's a Titans fan, Cleveland. And, he's a Titans fan. And our first conversation is I had to tell him, you go ahead and ditch Ryan Tannehill as soon as you can. I mean, trade him for a can of chunky soup or something because he's not the guy. And as we talked about, George, you got Malik Willis, who's obviously you told me before I saw it in the blogs that Malik is going to be the odd man out.
Yeah, he is. Which I don't know why he didn't get a fair shot.
He didn't, but they want a veteran to take the snaps before Levis is ready to take the snaps. And I don't know. I was thinking Malik Willis, Cleveland. That I thought the Seahawks should have drafted Malik last season, but Malik might be on the unemployment line here pretty soon, looking for some work. But nonetheless, so who's going to be your starter? Are you guys going with Tannehill until Malik is ready?
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to stick by this man.
Oh, boo.
I mean, because we got like 80 million invested in him, so we're gonna have to see what we got, even though we know what we got.
Talk about a bad contract.
Come on. So what it was that 2019 season when we was almost like undefeated going all the way up to the AFC Championship.
When he came off the bench.
When he
filled in for
Mariota.
He was just a little bit better than Mariota. And he fooled you guys. He fooled
me. I didn't think he was that good.
No, he fooled you guys because he was doing a lot of handing off to that guy number 22. Would he run for close to 2,000 that year? And
it was close to that.
It was close to 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like, oh yeah, well he can do it because all we need him to do really is pass the ball, complete a couple passes in the game. If you complete a couple passes in the second half of the game, we should be able to bludgeon anybody. So this year, you guys starting off with the New Orleans Saints. You should beat the Saints. You should beat the Saints. You got an L already? You giving the Saints? Who's the Saints quarterback?
I'm gonna say this.
Who's the Saints quarterback?
Derek Carr is the Saints quarterback. Derek Carr about to throw for 450 on us.
That's right. So you say L to the Saints, L to the Chargers. You got the Cleveland Browns. Is that an L? Can you beat the Browns? That's gonna be a question.
I think we can.
I'm gonna go ahead and give you a W on the Browns.
I think we can beat the Browns.
Because you're going to lose to the Cincinnati Bengals, so that's 3 losses already. You got the Indianapolis Colts. You should beat the Colts. Come on, and another rookie quarterback. And your guy should be ready by a week 5.
Yeah.
The week 5, so that's 2 wins, 2 and 3. You're going to lose to Baltimore. You got to bye, so that's 2 and 4 going into your bye. You got Atlanta. They got another rookie.
They got what's that boy's name?
Ritter. I thought Ritter's gonna be their guy.
They just got the dude from Washington though.
Heineke. Yeah, I think he's a backup. I think he's going to be a backup for them. I don't see him taking their spot because Ritter's going to be in his second year. Ritter's going to be in his second year, so you can. So there you go. What's that? 3-3, 3-3 coming off your bye. Pittsburgh. I don't know.
That's a toss up. That's a
toss up. That is that home? That's away. So I'm gonna say Pittsburgh will win that game. So you're 3-4. 3-4. You got Tampa Bay. You should win that game. Jacksonville. You're gonna lose to Jacksonville. So we're 4-5. Carolina. You should beat Carolina, right? You should beat Carolina.
Yeah, we should. And we
so
should
that's
beat
5-5. You should beat the Colts. So that's 5-5, 6-5. You're gonna lose to the Dolphins.
Yeah,
you're gonna lose to the Dolphins. So that's 6-6. Houston, that's 7-6. You're gonna lose to Seattle. That's 7-7. Houston, you should beat Houston. You should beat Houston. You should beat Houston again.
We should.
So that's 8-7. And then you lose to Jacksonville. You guys are 500. That's a 500 record, Cleveland. Any complaints with that 500 record for the Titans?
Well, Cam, I like the heart of the Titans a lot more than the heart of the Chargers. So I think that the way that you were going with that one may be a little bit serious.
What can you possibly like about the? Stop! I'm just going to ignore that. The Chargers were a playoff team.
They play hard.
Oh my goodness! The Chargers were a playoff team, and you got them losing to a team with Ryan Tannehill and/or a rookie quarterback. Either one of them. Come on, man. Sometimes my man's not objective, George. Sometimes he loses objectivity.
I mean, they're going to learn. They're going to learn from the adversity that they faced last year, Cam. I mean, they went on a witch hunt after AJ Brown went crazy up there in Philly. They fire the general manager, like you don't know what he's talking about, what he's doing. It was bad. They somewhere no one ever said this. Ryan Tannehill's a game manager, one of the best there is.
That's a
but no one ever said that he was going to throw for 4,500 yards and 46 touchdowns. He's a game manager. Was a great game manager for the Miami Dolphins until
you cut it out. You cut it out. You cut it out right now.
They just say that he wasn't that guy. It's like, okay, well, I mean,
that's all he's trying to do is start something right now because Ryan Tannehill is garbage. He's garbage.
Championship. When's the last time the Miami Dolphins have been in the AFC Championship?
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. I will give you that. See, but then again, we had a great team.
He was. Thank you, George.
We had an excellent team. Like we won in spite of Tannehill. I have to say that. Like, I mean, he's not that good. Like, I'm sorry.
George, he's just trying to start something. That's all he's doing right now. He's just trying to start something, George.
I say he's a game manager. If you need him to do a whole bunch of other stuff, he's not.
Can't do it. I mean, as soon as he took his weapons away, he got exposed.
They're going to be playing a rookie, Cleveland. You know how this goes. They're going to give Tannehill's going to start the first few weeks. By week 4 or 5, they're going to put the rookie in there. They have the bye at week 6. What did I say? They have the bye at week 7. They have a bye at week 7. The rookie will be starting definitely. If they're going to lose.
I think
they start off 2-3. The rookie started.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah,
they start off 2-3. The rookie started. Cleveland, you know this, man. Cut it out.
They're gonna start Will Levis.
When Ryan Tannehill starts off at 2-3, yes,
I think
absolutely.
The Bengals game is gonna see a change for real.
Come on, Cleveland. Cleveland knows that. He's just playing. He's playing silly.
We'll have to see where they're at, right? I mean, if they're still in, and it's not like their division is like some really tough division to play in.
No, not
so. They could be in contention for quite some time. I mean, you know what I'm saying? 5 and 6.
No, I don't know what you're saying. I don't. Actually,
I don't. Okay, so 5 and 6, they might still be a game out.
No,
that might not be the time to go to Will Levis, who nobody wanted to draft.
And yet we drafted him. I have no idea why. Like, this man dropped completely out of the first round, and we decided, like, for what?
because your quarterback was Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis, who they have no faith in. That's why they drafted dude. That's the reason they drafted dude.
He wasn't even the best quarterback in his division, like in the SEC South. It was Josh Dobbs, not Josh Dobbs. Who was the other kid that came out of Tennessee?
Hendon Hooker.
Hooker.
Yeah,
Hooker.
I mean it's a coin flip. It's a hope. It's a wish. And that's why I think Tannehill will still be there at the helm, come week 12.
So George, I believe, and again, this is all early speculation, barring any major. The teams are really what they are. We went through free agency. We went through the draft. They got their players. Very seldom does a team make a significant free agent pickup. I think Ndamukong Suh's out there, but he won't be picked up till as we know, week 4 or 5 until there's some injuries that happen. So barring any major injuries, I think the surprise team is not really a surprise team because they were pretty solid last year. I think they just take a next step this season. Is the Detroit Lions. That's my pick for a dark horse, if you will.
I can agree with that. They definitely stay season on a high note.
Who would you pick up? Who would you say is a dark horse?
A dark horse. I'm between the Lions and the Jets. I think the Jets are gonna come out of nowhere.
Oh my goodness! Well,
I mean, I know they got Aaron Rodgers now, but I mean, still.
This time last year, when Seattle Seahawks traded Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos, and all of a sudden we heard everybody come out the woodwork for the Denver Broncos and how good their defense was and what Russell Wilson is going to do for this team. Cleveland, you and I both knew, we both said that they're going to be finishing last in that division or fighting for last spot in that division. The Jets will be slightly better than that. They're going to be competing for that third spot in their division behind the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. The Jets are going to be just above the Patriots. Period.
What a statement. What a statement. You think they're going to be that bad?
I just don't think they're going to be that good. I don't think Rodgers. So we have Rodgers might be the Kevin Durant of the NFL. He's not a leader. Very good individual talent. Very good. Nobody can argue. I mean, he got 2 of the last 4 MVPs. Very good, very talented quarterback. But he's not a leader. So the Jets are looking for leadership. I don't know that he fits that bill. He's going to be a quarterback slinging around, and they're going to put some points on the board. They're going to change the offense. The defense is going to the aura is going to change. Last year they were the defensive team, hard-nosed defensive team, right? Now they're going to be, let's throw it around the field and let's try to put some points on the board. That's what they're going to do.
Who told you that?
Who told me what?
Who told you there's going to be a shift in that? There's no. Let me set the record.
When you sign Aaron Rodgers, you're not signing Aaron Rodgers to be a game manager. You're not signing Aaron Rodgers to be a game manager. You're signing Aaron Rodgers. You're signing Aaron Rodgers to let him swing it around the ballpark.
You were just going off on this tangent that was just going off on this weird into the woods, getting lost type of thing. Let me pull you back out here real quick. First of all, they're not void of leadership. Their head coach is their leader. Okay. He's their leader.
Who is he?
They are
Who is he compared to Aaron Rodgers?
They're not going to make a shift from a defensive team to an offensive team. They are still a defensive team.
When you sign Aaron Rodgers, you changed
4 games.
Changed the mentality.
They lost at least 4 games last year because of their quarterback play.
Okay.
So if you shift that, and they win those 4 games, well, now all of a sudden,
now there'll be now they'll win 8 games instead of 4 games.
How many games they won last year, Cam?
Let me double check. I think
go ahead and check that out real quick.
4 or 5. I mean, I wasn't impressed.
Yeah, they was down bad. They actually had to pull out a dude from the CFL to play.
How many games they won last year?
So tell me once again. Explain once again when you sign Aaron Rodgers how there's no shift in the program. Explain that to me again.
They simply don't lose those games because of poor quarterback play, like 6-3 and 12-7. They win those games now, and
7-10.
they rely on their defense to hold them in games.
So you're saying Aaron Rodgers has worked 4 games, so they'll be 11-7. That's what you just told the fans.
At the very least, 11-6. But yeah, at the very least,
they're second in the division then.
Yeah,
let's not get carried away, George.
Yeah, at the very least.
Well, we still gonna talk about Tua. I should have brought that up. We talked about the Dolphins. Tua fragile. He about a sheet of paper out there. Ooh. He get hit one more time, his career is over.
Hold tight. Speaking of Tua, hold tight. I got somebody want to say something about Tua right now. Hold tight, fellas. Hold tight. Go ahead right now. Just hold tight for me, fellas.
Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name's Cameron.
Cam Buford.
We got some good questions today.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
In what world?
You just heard that right there. You just heard Scott Hansen, Mr. NFL, Mr. Red Zone. You just heard what he said. You just heard it, right? He just said it. Do you need to hear it again?
Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name's
Cameron.
Cam Buford.
We got some good questions today.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I mean, what do I have to say anything else?
Just because he said don't mean it's true.
You just said, George. You just said he's fragile as a piece of paper.
Y'all seeing them concussions? He ain't all the way there. We all know if he you know what he doing this offseason? He's doing Tai Chi to learn how to fall.
I know that's crazy.
What are we doing?
George, I've been saying that for years. I've been saying they shouldn't have drafted him for that same exact reason. I've been saying that.
He broke his hip against TCU. That should have been a red flag right there.
He broke his hip. He broke his finger. He broke his wrist. He's a basket case. I've been saying that. But he is a quarterback right now. We drafted some linemen to protect him. And as long as he has to prove that he wants to be out there. The kids said they said you should retire. He says, no, I don't want to retire. It's in my blood. I want to play I want to play quarterback in the NFL for the Miami Dolphins. That's what he said. So we're riding with that. He says he wants to do it. He got Waddle. He got Hill. We got Chosen to throw to. He's confident now, and he has a coach that understands how to put talent in the right place and run a scheme that works for him. We've seen that through 7 weeks, Cleveland. You heard me writing about him through 7 weeks of the season last year. The guy was putting up numbers like 1984 Dan Marino.
You got Tyreek Hill and Waddle just running post. Okay, just running post.
No, they're running crossing routes. They're trying to confuse the defense. We throw a crossing route in there. We throw crossing routes in there every now and then. But with Mike McDaniel running my offense, we know we're going to be able to run the ball. We know because the defense is going to be playing 2 safeties and they're playing 30 yards off the line of scrimmage that we're going to be able to complete some passes on the middle. My man has to stay healthy. He has to get rid of the ball. That was his problem. Is he was holding the ball too long and letting the guys collapse on him. He needs to get rid of the ball. He get rid of the ball early, we're good. When he starts holding the ball and trying to make plays, he's not. This isn't a Hawaii high school football where you can run away from those guys. This is the NFL. You can't run away from nobody, Tua. I hope he understands. That's something that he needs to understand. It's not about the falling. It's about trying to do too much and trying to make plays out of nothing. You don't do too much. Get 1, 2, 3, boom. 1, 2, 3, boom. 1, 2, 3, boom. Okay? And maybe every now and then you hold it and roll out a little bit and let Waddle or Hill get deeper for that 50-yard pass. Outside of that, 1, 2, 3. Let's get rid of this quickly. Okay? And we continue to run the ball. Mike McDaniel's running this offense. So whether my man's vaping or not on the sidelines, we don't care. We don't care about all that because he's running an efficient offense. Cleveland, what you got to say about that?
Well, Like my man George said, other than that shortstop playing quarterback in Arizona, this is the second most fragile quarterback in the NFL. You know, I was trying to ride.
Well, we don't know. We don't know about the guy in Carolina. We don't know about that guy.
I mean, you know, he hasn't really gotten to that point just yet. I kind of feel a little bit more softened about Bryce. You know, kind of running around back there.
Oh, y'all seen that too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he looked like he's like okay, he's heard all the little talk. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure thing. But no, the shortstop playing quarterback in Arizona, yeah, that's a problem. The Tua Tagovailoa with bones like Derrick Rose and Anthony Davis, and he's playing football.
Yeah, no, I listen to him.
Tua is the kind of cat that can sprain his ankle tying his, sprain his wrist tying his shoes, man. You know, he's that kind of guy. So this is what, his fourth, fifth year now?
I can't really defend this.
His fourth or fifth year now. He's got all the weapons that you could ever ask for. And if he can stay upright and healthy, he can do a lot with that. I just question whether he can really actually do that. And once it gets to be December and all those games aren't in Miami, some of them are in Buffalo, some of them are in New England, some of them are in some other adverse weather conditions. It's not the same guy.
I don't think.
Well, good thing we're not playing in Denver. The good thing we're not playing in Denver tonight. This was just an 18-point game. It's down an 8-point game.
Oh yeah. Thanks for checking that one out as well. Yeah.
It was just an 18-point game. Now with 10 minutes to go, it's a 8-point game. But Joker hit the 3-pointer in the corner and makes an 11-point game with 9:50.
Yeah, I mean, I was all on the Dolphin bandwagon. They were doing some great things, and I felt that Tua, if he given an opportunity and could stay upright, he could make some things happen.
So
he is staying upright.
So years ago, the Dolphins had the first number 1 pick of the draft. They elected to take a lineman instead of Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has recently signed with CBS. My question to the both of you guys is Matt Ryan underappreciated? He finished his career as of today. I mean, assuming he doesn't come back and play. Number 5 in completions with over 5,500 completions. 7th in yards passing with over 62,000 yards. 9th in TDs, 391. And 10th in wins at 124. Is Matt Ryan one Super Bowl appearance? He won 1 MVP. Is he underappreciated? Is his career underappreciated?
If this is a Hall of Fame application, he's not getting it. I don't care what he did. That man was stealing money
Hall of Fame,
for at least 3 years.
He was stealing money, you said?
That man was stealing money in Atlanta for at least 3 years.
Wow. He got Atlanta to the Super Bowl. He was the quarterback of that team.
I know he was. And then what happened after that?
That was Shanahan not running the ball. And the Patriots came back on him.
No, I'm talking
that wasn't Matt Ryan's fault.
I'm talking about what happened after that game. The next season they were.
But I mean, come on, were they? I mean, it's not like they were a juggernaut. I don't know that they weren't built for like the long haul. I mean, that was a hell of a season they had that year.
It was. I give it to him.
I don't know. I don't put. It was a bad loss. He was the quarterback. And then actually they gave up another loss like that too, didn't they? Did they lose another heartbreaker like that when they had a big lead and gave up points in the playoffs?
It was I think it was with the Colts. Maybe.
He was with the boom. Or he was with the Colts, and they had yes. Okay, so that happened. So that happened twice.
Matty,
is he?
I think he has hollow numbers, very similar to Phillip Rivers. I mean, they look really good on paper, but then when you look at it, it's like, what did you ever really actually accomplish?
He made it to the Super Bowl. Phillip ain't never made it to the Super Bowl.
No, Matty Ice took them to the Super Bowl and thrown to Julio Jones. And Tony Gonzalez. I mean, I remember when they beat the Hawks, man, it was heartbreaking. So I understand what he's capable of doing, and he was a great quarterback. But but I'm not just anointing him into the Hall of Fame at this point.
No.
Even though those numbers are very gaudy, but I
you
think
didn't hear me say Hall of Fame. You didn't. Neither one of you guys heard me say Hall of Fame. You heard me say, was he underappreciated? I didn't mention does these stats get him into the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. If he had 2 Super Bowl appearances, now we can have, maybe that equals out with these same numbers. But to your point, George, he wasn't. We only saw him get there one time, and then he gave up the big lead. And now you just reminded me that he gave up another big lead with the Colts. So I wasn't saying Hall of Fame. I was just saying, I mean, that's not a bad career though.
No, it's a great
when
career.
You're number five in completions, you're top 10 and you're top 10 in yards, TDs, and wins. I mean, that's not nothing to sneeze at. It's not Hall of Fame worthy. I grant you got both. So the George Hollis Award winner was announced, going to Damar Hamlin, suffered a cardiac arrest, as we all know. Kind of think that was a gift award, guys. I mean, he really didn't do anything to win the award. I mean, he had a traumatic injury that the doctors brought him back from. I don't know that. I mean, excuse me for my language. I'm glad he's still with us. And that reminds me, folks, anybody listen to the show, go give your loved ones a big hug tonight. Give them a kiss, man, just because just had tragic death in my family, and you don't know when is the end. So just on a personal note, make sure you guys, everybody within the sound of my voice, give your loved ones a hug. Tell somebody you love them for real, because you just don't know when the end is. But in all seriousness, Damar Hamlin, I'm glad he's healthy, glad he's able to come back, but not sure was that George Hollis Award worthy, award-winning worthy. You understand what I'm saying, guys?
It wasn't really based off, kind of like a merit thing.
That award should have went to everybody who saved him, not him personally. Let's give it to all the first responders. Let each one of them get a medal, because it wasn't anything he did. Like he didn't go out and save. He didn't jump into the drowning pool to go save the kid. Whatever. I'm just throwing it out there. But obviously, I'm glad he's happy and healthy. The Commanders get sold. My first question is, I think the part owner of the 76ers bought the Commanders. And all of Washington seems very elated that they've gotten rid of Daniel Snyder. I've seen a meme where they were pulling down Snyder's statue, kind of like when they pulled down the dude statue in Cuba. Fidel's Castro's statue. It was like, did they really hate dude like that?
You see what they did with Sean Taylor? That was disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was
disrespectful.
I mean, he was searching though. He's searching for anything that he can get some kind of love, some kind of recognition from, and that's resulted in that there. But yes, it was entirely classless and tasteless. But he was searching. He was on his search right there. He was trying to make something happen. Do they change the name? Do you think there's a name change involved with the Commanders now that they're sold?
I don't think so.
You think they stay?
It's been 2 years they've been the Commanders now?
I certainly hope so. This is a new regime, and I think that they can realize that name was whack. That logo was whack to begin with, and I don't think the fans in DC will be too unhappy if you kind of flip the switch a little bit and go a different direction. The Commanders always kind of had like a what is that kind of a feel to it, like
right
Commanders, like nah.
Yeah. I would like. I wonder if they're going to change the name. If they would change the name, we'll see. We'll see if that gets done. All right, guys, let's pivot to the NBA. NBA, as we know, NBA is fantastic. But before we get into this playoffs and we do some autopsies of the team that are now out of the playoffs, gone fishing, we have to address this topic. And since you're you're native of Tennessee, you're in KC now, right, George? So being a native of Tennessee,
we about to talk about it.
we got to talk about it. What is your thoughts on Mr. Ja Morant? And so let me say a couple things. The video, are we sure that this is a second video and this wasn't a video made months ago? Like we need to clarify that part first. I think that's not being said where we're ready to jump on them. This happened on Saturday night. Like most of us speculate, it's an atrocious event and it's absolutely idiotic. But are we sure that this wasn't something that didn't happen months ago? Maybe you have more clarity on this, George. I don't know. But are we sure of that before we pile on and say that this is a second incident? What's you guys' thoughts on that?
So the reports are saying that this was from IG Live. So
it was IG Live. I saw the IG Live, but I'm saying, was it not months ago when they were doing this? Because it just happened 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So tell me, George. You tell me, George. You're among the generation. I don't use IG Live very often. I've used it once or twice. No, I don't use it very often. I use it more than twice. But is it the sort of thing? There's no time date stamp on it. And is it something that you could have reposted? You could have reposted something that you took months ago. You could do that, right? Or no, it's a live, so you can't repost. It's not a post. It's a live action, right?
Yeah, I don't think Instagram is saving the lives anymore. I think once they're done, they're done. So I think that this actually happened on Saturday.
What an idiot!
Yeah.
What an idiot, man. What an idiot. I actually went to. I saw him twice after the first incident. I covered a couple games. I covered them when they played the Hawks. I went to Memphis when they played the Clippers. And so I got to interact with them a couple times. And I'll say this. In Atlanta, they were joking about playing some card game on the plane. But there was $100 buy-in. And at least they kept saying 100. It would sound like it was $100 buy-in. That's what standing in the locker room, listen to the conversation. That's what it sounded like.
Mm.
And Ja was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not in. Who was in? Lawson, the rookie, was in. Jaren Jackson Jr. was in. Desmond Bain was in. Other man. Why am I having a brain fart? What's the goon who they said they're not re-signing?
Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks was in. And they're
ding, ding,
you knew exactly what I was talking about, though, didn't you? So they're all, and this is post game. So it's, I don't know if you've been in locker room post game where there was no hurry, and we're waiting. The reporters are waiting in there to interview the players. And so we're just kind of standing around waiting for them to kind of get dressed and be ready to interview. And they're all joking. They're joking about this buy-in. Josh says, "No, I'm not in." He said, the NBA has my cheese. I don't have cheese like that now. The NBA got my cheese. They got all my. He said chicken. The NBA got all my chicken now. I don't got chicken like that. I have to step back. I can't do all this. And he was kind of making a joke out of the situation, but you knew what he's talking. Everybody in the room knew what he was referring to, but he's kind of laughing it off. Okay, I was like, okay, well, he knows that he fucked up. It's clear because he's literally joking about that. I can't do that. The NBA is watching. Like, okay, so it wasn't a sign of maturity at that moment, but it was like, okay, he clearly understood that he had created some problems and that he needed to kind of clean some of this up. Okay, fine, cool. I think it was a week later, I went to Memphis, and that night I asked him, what did you learn about yourself or about the team while you were out? Well, I learned that the team can play well without me. I don't have to be the star of the team. Well, he didn't say anything about him personally, but he said more specifically about what he learned watching the team. Okay. I asked him, dude said, well, now since you've been back, you've been warming up with the beats on, so you're not hearing a lot of the fans cheering for you and supporting you because you're playing with you're warming up with your beats on. He says, yeah, man, I'm just trying to stick to myself and kind of drown out the noise, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what are you listening to?
That's messy. You knew what you was doing.
George, to be honest with you, had I had a consistent interaction with him, I'd have asked him specifically, what did you learn about your being out about this incident? If I had talked to him more than a couple times, you can't just be the first time you interact with them, hit them with that question. I mean, you're not going to get a straight answer. So you got to develop some type of rapport. Cleveland, you saw the interview, I believe. And he says, I'm going to keep that in-house. Oh, you're going to keep that in-house? He says, yeah, okay, cool. That's your choice. I'm not gonna press that issue. Again, I would have laughed it off and said something else. Had he been more familiar with me, or I'd been more familiar with him, I might have pressed that issue. But I did ask him specifically, what did you learn about being away from the team personally or about the team? And he left it about the team. Clearly he didn't learn it enough. Clearly he didn't learn enough. And it's a sad situation. George, what's your thoughts on the situation, man?
I mean, I'm a firm believer that people don't change unless their pockets do. And you would think that since he didn't
come on, that's not you need more than 600,000 in 8 games.
Yeah, he lost 600,000 for the 8 games, and then he didn't make the All NBA team. And then he missed out on 39 million?
Yeah, that was 40 million.
So
now we're 40 million, and then Nike and the Powerade. So we're looking at another 20 million. So he is $60 million on the table. Like, this is George. This is life-changing money.
Yeah, like generational money that he's just kind of
generational money that he's pissing away.
Yeah,
that he has pissed away.
Yeah,
not pissing. He has. That's gone.
Yeah, and I was listening to Marcellus Wiley earlier. He was like, "It don't matter how much money you make, you'll never make that money back."
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That money's gone. So I mean, the thing that I don't understand is, I get he's young. He's 23, almost 24, I think. But you're not that young.
Yeah, I'm not.
You know what I mean? And it's like, there at some point, especially because he has a daughter, and I can speak for myself. When I had my son, I was 22. I grew up. There's a lot of stuff that I did prior to my kid that I no longer do, and no longer have a fascination of doing, because that's not what I want to continue to.
That is the one thing I regret not asking, is about how that impacts the family. Like, as that's one. If I could play anything back, that is one thing I would ask him. Like, how has this been? Like, his daughter got to be 2 or 3 now. Mm-hmm. Like, how did this incident impact the family? Like, I would have liked to ask that, and maybe he would have took a oh, it's not just me. It's not me, just the basketball player. It's me and others. I don't know if he clearly doesn't recognize that. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, that money is gone. It's an ugly situation. I don't want to blame it on you. I'm not blaming that on you. By 23, I mean, you're smart enough to know what you need to do to get into the NBA. You know what you need to do to stay in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't it. And he knows better than that. Cleveland, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that franchises put that type of responsibility on people that aren't ready for it. Not everybody's LeBron James, not everybody's Kobe Bryant, not everybody's Kevin Garnett. And to make him the face of the franchise and the future of the league at that age, not really understand. Hear me out here. Not really understanding what he's fully about. Not really understanding what he's fully about. and whether he's capable of handling that kind of burden is one thing. And then secondly, I think the most alarming part for everyone concerned is that he seems very unaware of his surroundings and who his audience is. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, do you really understand the ramifications of going on Instagram Live doing this? And you're already someone like Ja Morant that has this many people curious and interested into what it is that you're doing. So when you're doing this, you're not just doing this with you and your homies. You're not just doing this at the club where the people that are in the club are doing this. This is like tens or hundreds of millions of people watching it. And then you have to answer to that. And there's no answering to that because it doesn't make any sense for someone that's in the position that you're in.
George, I want to play something for you. Excuse me, man. I want to play something for you, George. So hold tight and see if I can get this going here. Cleveland, you know exactly what this is. And I want to see if you should have started off and see if you wanted to recant this. Here we go. Can you guys see this? Let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear this, guys? You cannot hear this? Can you hear this, guys? You guys cannot? No, you can't hear this? All right, Cleveland. So we had this discussion, George. I wanted you to hear the authentic discussion that we had. In Cleveland, we had the discussion just hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on, guys. Let me try this one more time. I didn't do something. I'm sorry, guys. I know you. We're live, but maybe I didn't do this right. Hoping I didn't do this right. Let me know if you guys cannot hear this. It's not playing yet. Now it's playing.
Can see it, can't hear it.
Yeah, same.
You cannot hear it?
I can see it though.
Cleveland, that was our discussion a couple weeks ago when I said specifically we were talking about Jalen Carter. We were talking about, do young players need mentors?
Oh, absolutely.
Cleveland told me Jalen Carter does not need a mentor because he's an NFL player. I correlated back to the Memphis Grizzlies. One problem I had with the Grizzlies, and I said this all season long before either one of these incidents happened, is the Memphis Grizzlies were full of young players. There's no veteran on that team to kind of tell these guys, this is how we practice, this is how we play. When we're down by 20, we need to start focusing on this. There's no veterans on that squad. There's as an example, Andre Iguodala was on the bench for the Warriors majority of the season. They didn't need veterans like the Memphis Grizzlies need veterans, but Andre Iguodala was there. The Lakers signed Tristan Thompson. Do you think they signed Tristan Thompson to get some rebounds? You think they signed Tristan Thompson because he's he plays with a lot of heart on the floor? No, they signed Tristan Thompson to be a guy in the locker room. They signed Tristan Thompson to talk to some of these young players, to be a mentor and to help out LeBron to get these young guys to talk to him about playoff basketball. That's why they signed Tristan Thompson. The Memphis Grizzlies needed a veteran. They needed a veteran on their team to when Ja Morant is acting out like this, somebody can smack him in the back of the head. Taylor Jenkins can only do so much. Not only though they're both young guys, they're coming up. They're growing together because they both started off as when Ja Morant was a rookie, Taylor Jenkins rookie year. So they kind of grew up together, if you will, the last 3 or 4 years. Taylor Jenkins is the head coach. Ja Morant, the players are going to listen to the player more so than the coach. A peer of theirs, just like you're going to listen to your peer more so than your parent. Just that's the way it is. So they needed a mentor. I think young players need mentors on their team. I was trying to express this point to Cleveland a couple weeks ago. Cleveland says no, they don't need mentors. If you can play, you can play. I think this is a problem. This is remnants of not having mentors on the field or on the team. George, your thoughts?
I definitely think it wouldn't hurt for sure. Especially like you got a rookie coming up, I mean, this is a whole new life that they've never experienced before, so it wouldn't hurt to have some, I wouldn't say, a mentor, but not like a parent, I mean, just someone just kind of guide them like, hey, I wouldn't do that. I'll probably do this.
I was saying a veteran. For God's sakes, Patrick Beverly was seen as the vet for the Bulls.
Okay.
A veteran for the Bulls, for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I was saying a veteran on the team, not a mentor per se, not a mentor.
Oh, okay. I'm with you now.
A veteran on the team. To, again, when these guys are getting out of line, just smack them in the back of the head. Guys, this ain't how this isn't how we get. This ain't how we do it. This ain't professional ball.
See, but
that's
then
what I was more speaking.
But then that may come into I mean, now they're taking a roster spot to someone who could actually play.
No, and that's what I think the problem is, George. That's what the league and the league has taken a turn in paying these young guys for their potential, right? They're drafting these guys not out of high school, they're one and done now, but they're drafting all these young players based on potential. When the league now the league is young. The average player is now 25 versus 10 years ago it was maybe 29 versus 15 years ago it was maybe 31, 32. Those 31, 32 year olds are not on the team, not on teams most often. And to your point, they're taking up a roster spot. That's a roster spot that's needed. You think Tristan Thompson, again, I tell you think Tristan Thompson is on the Lakers because he's going to get 12 rebounds tonight against the Denver Nuggets? No, he's not. He's on there as a cheerleader and being a locker room guy. That's why he's on the team. Cleveland, do you understand my point?
I do to a certain extent. I mean, clearly you can tell a veteran roster adverse a team that's just young and up and coming and nobody really has any leadership skills or really, it's kind of like the blind leading the blind, so to speak.
And that's what the Grizzlies
But however,
that's what the Grizzlies are.
I don't feel that part two of this story. I don't feel like a veteran leader would have changed that. He's already been called to the principal's office. And I don't mean just the principal's office. I mean to Adam Silver's office. I mean to Phil Knight's office. I mean to the head of a whole bunch of people like, you have to knock this shit off. And he said, okay. And then 2 months later, he's out doing the same thing. It's like, okay, something is not resonating with you. And I don't know if Big Brother is going to be able to put their arm around your shoulder and lead you that direction.
Okay. Before incident number 1, the leader is able to show him and try to guide him, bro. At the strip club with the guns, you don't need the gun at the strip club, dog. You don't need the guns at the strip club. All right, you're in a private room because nobody else. The average Joe, George, you weren't getting into that private room with $150,000 laying on the floor. You weren't getting into that private room, so there was no need for guns in that room. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you.
You're protected. You're not in a situation where you need extra protection. Okay, because the average Joe is not getting into that room. That's the first and foremost. Okay, so. However, if they carried on the plane or whatever, how the gun got into that nightclub, he didn't need the gun there. And then this incident over the weekend, it's like, maybe the veteran isn't able to be with them at all times. I understand that point, but he's able to say, like, dude, this is not how you move. Like you're risking it all. And now he's looking for some veterans to talk to him. Now he's looking for somebody to say, yo, because his dad isn't doing it.
But that's what I'm saying, Cam. Isn't there a certain level of tone deafness from him if he's already had this conversation, he's already had this meeting, and they've already kind of laid out?
I mean, he like you say, he went to the principal's office and had it with Adam Silver. What I'm trying to say is before you have that first incident, maybe it doesn't happen. It doesn't go down quite like that.
Of course, an intervention or somebody that's been through this before, and you kind of look up to and kind of appreciate kind of where they're coming from, for sure. I think a lot of the people, or the person that most people have been asking for, has been Zach Randolph, because he was a knucklehead in Portland and he was a knucklehead in New York, and he finally got to Memphis and kind of calmed down. And so he's already kind of part of the culture there, but he may be too far removed from what Ja's going through. And he was never a franchise guy. So he was always a 20-10 guy, a very good guy.
No, he was a franchise guy in Memphis, but in Memphis, as you stated, Memphis was his third stop. Memphis wasn't his first stop.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He'd already been a knucklehead. He'd already been a knucklehead in Portland. He'd already been a knucklehead in New York. So and even in LA for that matter. So
this is get it right or you're gone. Yeah, and that was get it right or you're done. And so I don't know that was. It's a tough situation, and sadly for him, he done pissed off a bunch of money, and he's going to be gone for minimum 25 games. Minimum 25 games.
Think he's getting 25 games?
Minimum. I mean, minimum. Like if not 50 games. I mean, that would minimum. Gilbert got 50 games, and that wasn't a 50. We got a 3-point game, 3 minutes to go in Denver. Denver's up by 3 points with Joker driving to the hole, spins, jumper, comes off the rim, but Gordon gets the rebound, kicks it out to Caldwell Pope, who they fouled Gordon on the rebound. It's a 3-point game, guys. At one point, I don't know if it got over 20 points, but I know at halftime it was 18 points. Right now, it's a 3-point game. Come on. Let's go, Nuggets. Let's go, Nuggets. Come on, Nuggets. Don't cough this one up, guys. Come on. These guys are going to be insufferable if you cough this one.
But George, back to the point, because he's so distracted by what my Lakers can potentially do, and just kind of throw salt in the drink right away. Just game one, just started out like that. But what he was saying was back to my point. This dude's already been called to the principal's office, and he said, "Okay, all right, yeah, I'll be good." Didn't listen. He doesn't understand what's at stake here. He doesn't understand all of the ramifications of what he is doing. He thinks he's just living his life out here and hollering at his friends and people that he wants to impress. But no, man, that's not what's going on out here. So if you didn't get the message the first time you came to the principal's office, bet you get the message the second time you come in.
Well, yeah, that's why That's
why he's saying at least 25, maybe
25 to 50 games. 25. Okay, fast break. The Nuggets now went up 6 points. What do you think, George? You don't think you thinking that's too much?
I'm not thinking. I mean, I'll be okay with that. I mean, but
it can't be anything. It can't be. They got to send a message.
That's true, and they're gonna make an example out of him too.
Yes, exactly.
They're not liking the image that he's portraying. Which I completely understand.
Austin Reeves hits another 3-pointer.
I mean, it was kind of like it was a stern slap on the wrist the first time.
Yeah,
it wasn't a stern because it wasn't a stern. It was 8 games. 8 games. Get a couple weeks. Go down to Florida.
That's 10%, right? It's 10% of your salary.
It's 8 games, and then he lost. He lost $40 million. Like you would have thought he'd have woke up by then. Like
right. Hey, maybe. You're not even all NBA. So okay. So it's a 10% plus the 40, and now
he also had a commercial during March Madness that got pulled because of that when he did that stuff in Denver. So it's
then Nike tried to slowly kind of creeping back in during the playoffs.
Yeah, you see that one.
Had to pull him.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Because people weren't feeling him. So
it got to be. Yeah, they gotta throw the book at him. The stupid tax. Now he has to pay. The first one was okay. You just was dumb and young and dumb. Now you get charged for being stupid tax, and that tax is going to be a whole lot more. Clearly he's wrong. Clearly he's in trouble. But are black athletes treated differently in through this incident? Because we know what the Boebert, the congresswoman, she takes a family picture and everybody has machine guns. Is that a different treatment that these athletes are being subjected to?
Absolutely. I mean, because they carry the city on their back. I mean, they carry the franchise on their back. They are a much bigger example and role model and much more public than politicians. That's not an apples to apples comparison at all. And then you take in all the other, socioeconomic and demographics that they're tapping into. It's not a fair thing to compare them in that respect at all. And then it also does them a disservice by not giving them enough credit to know what it is that they're doing.
Not giving who?
The athlete.
3-point game, 50 seconds to go in the game. LeBron's coming up court, looking for. He's going one-on-one. LeBron pulls up for a 3. Come on, LeBron. LeBron might be 2 for 10 all night and pulls up for a 3. What's your thoughts on that? On what he just said? LeBron 0 for 3 from 3-pointer. Just pulled up for 3.
You done made me cut the game on.
I mean, I'm just
what's going on over here?
I mean, LeBron, Jokic back in the hole, goes to the hole. Oh, he got fouled. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
I know the Lakers got you conflicted, but George, please.
Not a Laker fan, George. Not a Laker.
Chime in on
I lived in LA 20 years and could not jump on the bandwagon. Not a Laker. It was 100% anti-Laker. In fact, I spent too much money going to Laker games to root against number 24, to root loudly against number 24. So, excuse me. So yeah, what do you guys Cleveland? You say they're treated differently, and that's not a fair comparison. Do you agree with them, George? Are they treated differently? Is that not a fair comparison? Is there a double standard between black athletes and the congressman?
Well, actually, I didn't see the congressman's photo, but I'll speak to this. I would say that black athletes are judged more harshly. And I think they are judged more harshly by our black commentators because we all know how hard it is to make it out of an environment. And when we see them messing up and screwing up the amount of money that they're making, the opportunities that they're awarded, the doors have been opened for them, you're risking all of that, and we're upset because it's like if anybody else was in your shoes, they wouldn't be acting like that. And we all know as a community how hard it is to be in that position, and you're just kind of throwing it away. So I think that's why they're judged more harshly, because it's not more of a, let's beat them while they're down. It's more like, like you're one of the faces of our community. You need to be walking around kind of like LeBron is. You need to be walking around with the utmost standards, like you have to portray. You're kind of for the culture there a little bit, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense, and you're exactly right. We know the opportunities that are presented to most of us, and then someone like yourself has a way out, and you're deciding to kind of dip back, kind of backtrack, or there's a term. I got a term that I can't think of right now. There's a term. No, you're backsliding. Like you're backsliding. Why are you doing that? And most of everybody work hard to get out of a certain situation, and here you are trying to get into a situation that you have no reason to even be there. Like that's not your life. You didn't grow up there. That's not your family's life. What are you doing there? And that's kind of a shamefully that you're being there. So 18 seconds to go, Nuggets steal the ball. They're gonna let the clock run out with their 5-point week victory in game 1. So yeah, that's it. We had to talk about Ja Morant. Let's do this Warriors autopsy. The Lakers obviously beat the Warriors. What do you think about the Warriors? Do you bring I think the first question is, do you bring Draymond back? That's the first question. Draymond is hell bent on saying that the dynasty's not over. They didn't win it this year. They kind of weren't expected to win it last year, but they did. They didn't win it this year. Most of us believe the dynasty's over, but do you bring Draymond back to try to continue this run? Would you, George, bring Draymond back?
He's becoming a problem. His behavior is kind of becoming a problem. I wouldn't say he's a locker room cancer, because I think he's one of the people that gel the locker room together. But his antics are kind of
Well, he broke the locker room up with going in the preseason with the punch. I mean, that had to impact the squad. And then there's a term like the team will put up with your production. Well, the team will put up with you as long as you're producing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not producing, then is it worth the squeeze anymore? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you're mentioning with Draymond is his lack of production worth them tolerating his antics? And my answer would be no. What would you say, Cleveland?
Yeah, you bring it back.
You say run it back.
You run it back. Otherwise, you have to have a substitute or an alternative for it, and they don't. They don't really have any toughness. They don't really have that same type of defensive presence and identity without him. But then the question, like George is saying, has he outlived his usefulness and worn out his welcome? And that question is kind of a question mark, right? We're not 100% sure about that. And like you're saying, you start the season punching Jordan Poole in the face, and Steve Kerr's already said that they didn't really quite ever really recover from that. I mean, they kind of smoothed it over, kept it in-house, family matters are family matters, but how did everybody really interpret or internalize that? Kind of remains to be seen, because this season was not a success. I mean, they were able to get past Sacramento in 7 games. I mean, it was kind of a struggle for the defending NBA champions, right? Against a team that hadn't been in the playoffs in 20 years. So you take all that into account, and then it's like, okay, well, where are we going with this? And then you ask yourself, well, it's not like Draymond has a bunch of options, because anywhere else he would go, they would ask him to score, and he can't really do that anymore. So he can play defense, he can be, vocal and a presence, but I think that as far as what he can still contribute to the team, I think it's still a lot. The question is, are they willing to or is there an ability for them all to come together? And that's up to them.
And to your point, they don't. Replacing what Draymond Green brought to the Golden State Warriors would be challenging, and they don't have that person on their team right now. So that would mean not bringing him back would mean that they probably would have to change their team, change the makeup of their team, or the way their team operates. I contend that getting rid of Wiseman was a terrible decision. I don't, for the simple reason that they lack size, and to deal with the Joker, there was one person that they had to deal with. To deal with AD was another person that they were going to have to deal with. They were lacking size, and to get rid of them, Draymond's not bringing you that size and that ability to defend either one of these guys nowadays. So I think that was a bad decision. That they needed somebody like Wiseman. So I think they need to add size. I would get rid of Draymond. To me, he's not worth the squeeze. They would have to change their offense, but they need to bring in, I think, just make them more offensive than anything else, because to find Draymond's a different type of a player. You just don't find that type of player all the time. So I think I would I would get rid of him, but you have to make a more offensive, more of an offensive scoring team, and they're not going to they're going to be a different team. The makeup of the team is going to be different altogether. And I'm not sure, as much as I like Clay, I'm not sure at 40 million, 43 million that Clay, we might need to sit down and have a conversation, buddy. Because the production we got, I think he's descending, not ascending. And so the production we got out of Clay is like, Clay, you're not the defender you once were. You're definitely not the scorer you once were. So those two things, that's what we needed out of you. And if you can't defend the wing and you can't score, like we got 2 Jordan Pooles right now. So again, I'm changing the whole makeup.
Are you comparing Klay Thompson to Jordan Poole?
I'm not comparing. I'm saying what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Klay Thompson we thought of Klay Thompson as a defender and a scorer. He didn't do either in the playoffs. He's the same as Jordan Poole, who was just a scorer. right? Or you look for him for points. And Poole didn't give us the points that he wanted. So now that's what are we? And obviously Clay is more decorated than Jordan Poole. But when you look at what we got out of him, and again, I say he's descending, not ascending. So I'm not expecting that defense to get better all of a sudden. He's older. What is he, 31 now? Coming off of, 2 knee injuries. I'm not expecting him to be Klay Thompson of 5 years ago. And I'm not expecting if his points go up, they may go up 2 to 3 points a game. We needed Klay to be doing 22, 23 points a game. That's what Steph needed, right? So for that reason, and that's what I'm saying. This you get rid of Draymond, Klay have a conversation. That team looks completely different next season. And can they do that? Can they do that? The one question, if I make it a summer league this year, the one question I got to ask Steve Kerr is, Kerr, when you played, I'm not going to say he got punched in the face, but there was a punching incident that happened with those Bulls.
No, he got punched in the face. Michael Jordan punched him in his face.
I'm not gonna say, I wouldn't say Jordan punched you in the face. What is different between that team and this team? I would say the incident, though, that punching incident in preseason. Why was it different against Chicago? Why was Chicago able to survive that incident, but these Warriors weren't? Like, that's what I want to know. What was the difference in between those incidents? You follow what I'm saying? Is he just gonna say MJ? Is that it?
I think that's fair to say.
Well, that's what I want to hear.
That's
what I want to hear.
I think that's why they made it through that season, because they had Michael.
But you feel what I'm saying? Like the incidents, one was on camera, one was not.
And plus, take into consideration how much more sensitive this generation is than back then, and then take into consideration it's a role player and it's Michael Jordan. It's a whole different dynamic than what happened with Draymond and Jordan Poole.
Kerr was a role player.
That's what I'm saying.
Kerr wasn't a star. Poole wasn't. I mean, I don't know that Poole and Kerr levels weren't very different. You follow what I'm saying? I don't know that.
But it was Draymond's fist compared to Michael's fist. I mean, I think Michael has the better fist here.
Well, I don't know if Kerr sat out a couple weeks. Poole was out a couple weeks after Draymond got him. I don't know that Kerr sat out a couple weeks. But it might have just been Michael himself that
first fight ever. Come on, now you out 2 weeks.
I mean that was a cheap shot though. That was a cheap shot, and I think Jordan probably was in the mix of the practice. Like Kerr probably elbowed him or bumped him or something, and he turned around, socked him. He didn't walk across the court and drop him like that. You know what I'm saying? That was a complete cheap shot. Although Poole should have been ready for it, talking shit, pushed him. Once he pushed him, he should have been ready to defend himself. And it looked like he didn't know once he pushed him that was coming. I don't know. It was that's the one. That's really what I would like to ask Steve Kerr, and I will ask him if I get that opportunity. So let's look at these 76ers. Autopsy on the 76ers. George, I'm a big fan of coaching. I'm a big believer in and we touched on it earlier. I think before you was on the show, what a coach was, the influence a coach is able to have. I understand why Doc got fired. I'm not entirely sure that was a fair firing, because when I say I'm a big fan of coaching, I have to also look at the fact that James Harden isn't who we thought he was.
Well, I mean, I think that was evident in Brooklyn.
True. Yes, you're right. James Harden isn't. He led the league in assists, right, this season. Leading the league in assists tells me that he should know who and when to get the ball to at the times they need the ball. you need to know that Embiid hadn't touched the ball going back to Game 6. He hadn't touched the ball for the last 5 minutes of that game against Boston that awoken Jason Tatum. He needs to be able to get Embiid the ball. Okay, that happened in Game 6, but then you come out of the locker room, you're only down 3 points in Game 7 against the Celtics. And again, we go through the same thing in the fourth quarter where Tatum's lighting them up, but Harden's not getting Embiid the ball. So Embiid, the MVP of the league, scores 15 points in this game. I was disappointed by that. Doc, it's hard to defend Doc in this situation, but I don't believe, you know how I feel about coaching. I don't believe this is all on the coach. What do you guys think about this?
I don't necessarily think so either. I mean, I think a big catalyst was James Harden. I mean, he's just not I don't know who they thought they were getting from Brooklyn, but he's not that guy. And he hasn't been since he's been in Houston. You know what I mean? Like he's I'm not saying he's a shell of himself, but he's not the same. You would say that? You would say he's a shell?
One of my questions is do we put Harden back bring him back off the bench? Does he go full circle and come off the bench now? Because clearly he hasn't led Brooklyn. We thought he was going to lead Brooklyn. Him and Kyrie got the beef because Kyrie didn't want to get the vaccination and blah blah blah. He goes to Philly where he claims he wants to be, but he did win 2 games. But when they needed him Game 6 and Game 7, we didn't see the James Harden that we needed to see. We didn't see the floor general, the scorer that they needed him to be. Therefore, thank you, Harden. And if you want to go to Houston, we're gonna grant you that wish and make a way to get you to Houston. And I'll take one of those young players Houston has. If I was Philadelphia, I'd sign him, and I'll take a couple of Kate Cunningham's. What's Green? I'll take couple of those young players and put them with Maxey and Embiid. I think that'll be a strong combination. I would have did that before I fired Doc. I don't know. So now they're talking about bringing in who's the coach in the 7 seconds or less? What's
Mike D'Antoni?
D'Antoni, and running that with Embiid, that's a complete failure. D'Antoni has never been good with a big man. Way back when he coached the Lakers with Dwight Howard, D'Antoni has never used a big man except when he was in Phoenix and had you can't really say he was a big man. He was just a big forward, Stoudemire. That's the only, when they had Nash and Stoudemire, that's the only semblance of a big man that produced. But that's not the role for Embiid. So that would be a complete dumb decision, in my opinion, for Brooklyn, or not Brooklyn, for the 76ers to do. I think firing Doc was a bad decision. I wouldn't bring Harden back. And I would, hey, if you want to go to Houston, I'll send you to Houston, but Houston got to give me a couple of those young guys. What's the move for the 76ers that you guys would make?
But do you think does Houston want James though?
James, they've been flirting and they've been playing lovey-dovey for half the season now. Like this has been a rumor for half the season. So I don't know why Houston would want James. I don't know why.
Do they want James?
For whatever reason, that's been the top. He's comfortable there. He's still got a house and family there. He got his jersey up in the rafters at the strip clubs. So he's trying to get back to Houston. He's trying to, again, I don't know why if I was Houston, I wouldn't want him. But for whatever reason, they may want that veteran leadership.
I was about to double back to that point. Maybe they want the veteran.
Maybe they want that veteran leadership for a bunch of young guys who's trying to figure it out. Because that's what Houston is doing right now.
See, has James actually ever figured it out?
No, he hasn't.
I think that's the question too. Like, I mean, if you're gonna get a veteran in there to take up that roster spot, they at least need to be decorated.
Yeah, you're right. You to your point, you're very good point. You're very accurate. But they've been playing kissy face, and if they want to make that happen, okay, by all means. Because I don't. If it were me, if I was coaching or GMing in the 76ers, James Harden, we got to talk to you about you coming off the bench, bro. And maybe now you put you in a Chris Paul mode where you can conserve yourself and give us 15 to 20 minutes, 15 to 20 hard minutes every game, and then we can get the best out of you instead of letting you play 35, 40 minutes a game, because we're not getting that production. And shame on you for not getting the ball to Embiid when Embiid needs the ball and you leading the league in assists. Shame on you for that. Shame on you. What's your thoughts, Cleveland?
Yeah, so I know, George, you said he had a bounce, so I'll make this very quick, man. Doc Rivers absolutely deserved to get fired.
No,
he hasn't done anything since Boston.
These are hot
He has nothing but failure to show in Los Angeles.
I gotta go.
I don't know how many 3-1 leads he blew there. He has not been out of the second round in the 3 years that he has coached in Philadelphia with some of the most talented teams in the league. You cannot trade the 2 MVPs, so you have to get rid of the coach if you're not getting the most out of those players. Okay. So when Joel Embiid goes 5 for 18 is not demanding the ball, that's part of your and here's the other thing. He originally was doing okay because he made it, it was this battle between, is it Ben Simmons' team or Joel Embiid's team? He came in and said, oh no, it's Joel Embiid's team. But then after he did that, he didn't do anything to cultivate to get him to the next level. I mean, he's the MVP of the league.
He got the guy the MVP of the league.
He didn't get the guy the MVP. The guy is again, George. You don't understand this. I don't believe coaching is that prevalent in the NBA. Talent wins championships. It's not coaching, but you can't also be a deterrent if you're not getting your players to reach their full potential. And you're not going to trade your 2 MVPs. You're going to fire the coach.
This is how silly that argument is, George. Before you get out of here, George, did Jarvin Ham do anything for the Lakers? No. What? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
And on that note, I will see y'all boys next week.
That's a good answer, George. And I can't wait to see you again, man. We like-minded, man. This is the homie right here.
Here, George. Let the people know where they can find you.
On
social. Let the people know where they can find you on social media, Twitter, Instagram.
It's Shot by Red.
Shot by Red.
No, it's Shot by Red. Can I put it down on here, or is it too late?
Yeah, it's too late.
Okay.
Because I got you, George Howard. So it's Shot by Red. Find him on Instagram. He takes a lot of pictures. He's a tech savvy kid. So
I found that out a couple weeks ago.
You just found it out. And we all found that out. I'll holler at you tomorrow, B. George.
All right, y'all be good.
Right, nice to meet you, bro. Talk soon.
All right, now.
Bro, come on, man.
It was more than time for him to go, man. Like, what were they going to do? Run that back and do what?
Again, I'm getting rid of Harden, not Doc.
Why? Okay. It is partially Harden's fault. He had a bad game, but if you're expecting that heroic thing that happened before the couple games before that, no. Here's what I was the most disappointed about in that game 7 is that Joel Embiid did not demand the basketball, and that when he had the basketball, he did not have a particular thing that he wanted to do with it. I'm not saying you have to have a dream shake. I'm not saying you have to have a sky hook. I'm not saying you have to have a up and under, but you have to kind of have some idea of what you want to do to effectively score that people can't stop you from doing.
He he averaged 33 points a game.
Man, that's in the regular season. Are you talking about the regular season again?
I'm just saying he averaged 33 points a game.
In the regular season. We've already established this, right?
So the MVP, so winning that, so now you're gonna throw out his whole MVP season, and you're throwing out his whole MVP season saying what? That he's just not good enough? Is that what you're telling me now?
I am saying that he has not been able to get past the second round ever. And when he was in a game 7, he did not have something that he wanted to go to.
Is that coach or players? Is that coach or players?
That's a little bit of both.
Oh, come on. You don't want to give the coach any credit, but now you're going to blame him because the team can't get out of the second round.
And furthermore, if you want to go back to the coaching thing, how did he leave Joel Embiid guarding Jason Tatum over and over and over and over again?
Well, they were switching.
Man,
Boston switching it.
Well, that's coaching.
That's Boston seeking the. That's Boston seeking the thing.
After the
there was no adjustment.
After the fourth time, he hit him with the step back.
Doc says all the right things, and that's been his problem. No adjustment. He didn't adjust, and you're right. Tatum just said, "Okay, you're going to see that it's going to be out there.
It's going to be me. You got to beat on me again." Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Exactly. I'm gonna pull up in your face.
51 points later.
Man, Embiid killed him, or Tatum killed him. We're gonna talk about Tatum, and I got some questions about Tatum in your felonious matrix that you try to come up with as well. But Philly's in trouble, man. And Philly's in trouble, especially if they bring D'Antoni in there. And I mean, everybody might as well start trading for Joel Embiid if they bring D'Antoni. Knicks autopsy. I mean, the Knicks had a good season. They are who we thought they were. We didn't expect anything super out of them. But do you bring Julius Randle back?
Yeah, you got no choice.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Looking at the Suns, I thought Monty Williams. Did Monty Williams get a raw deal in Phoenix?
A little bit. I think that the owner perhaps had unrealistic expectations, perhaps after the first round, and then also the fact that
Vegas had them winning
and Devin Booker on his team, and I think he had NBA Finals or bust in his mind, and when he didn't get there, you got to blame somebody. And again, you can't fire the talent, so you have to fire the coach.
They didn't have any talent to fire. They traded half their team. They traded their depth.
The NBA is not about depth, and you know that the playoffs are not about depth.
That's exactly what happened. Kevin Durant and Booker played 45 minutes a game, and they had nobody to help them out.
Is Chris Paul got hurt again,
well, come on.
and then DeAndre Ayton was non-existent.
Well, he didn't play. He didn't play.
Cameron Payne trying to do his best Chris Paul impersonation.
SB, I need clarification. You're saying no, Monty didn't deserve to get fired, or what? I need clarification on that one. Oh, Monty maxed out, huh? Okay. I don't. Phoenix was left against Nuggets, who can go 8 deep. Phoenix was not a match for that. So Ayton wasn't given all he could. So if you fire Monty, that would have to be some of the explanation. Hey, you didn't get all you could from all of your players. That would be the explanation, because Ayton, as you say, it was just fizzled out there, running around there, and because they had a bad relationship dating back to last season, that was a problem. So Ayton was a problem, and Monty get picked up somewhere. So do you bring back Ayton if you're the new coach? Do you get rid of Ayton? Do you trade Ayton? What do you do? I mean, because now do you try to bring in a coach who can utilize Ayton? Because Ayton will still give you 18 and 10. Regardless, even if you don't like him, he can give you 18 and 10. I mean, you need a coach to get 18 and 10 out of him. You know what I'm saying? You need a coach that can get 18 and 10 out of him, because he has that capability.
Unless they're bringing in Sean Miller from Xavier, yeah, no. You
the Clippers again. Unless you're bringing in who? What?
Sean Miller.
Oh, the head coach from college.
Yeah.
Well, the Clippers, again, the deep team. The Clippers went 10 deep. So, yeah, they were pushing them with backups.
Man, Cam.
I didn't bring that up. I didn't say that. Did I say that? Is that me? Or is that our fans chiming in?
I would appreciate it for the fans' sake if you don't mention depth in NBA playoffs in the same breath, because that's not how NBA championships are won. It helps to have some depth.
So you don't think the Denver Nuggets are benefiting from the depth in these playoffs?
6-point game. Game 1, 6 points. The rotation gets real short, bro. Once it gets to the finals. So, yeah, 7 is about as many as you want to trust in a Western Conference final game. You might go to 8, but not for very long. You have decided who your 7 players are, and you just got to play a lot. We'll call timeouts and give you short breathers, but not for very long.
Who gets hired first? Mike Budenhauser, Nick Nurse, Monty Williams, or Doc? Who gets hired first?
Monty Williams gets hired first.
Monty Williams. Really? Budenholzer's out there, Nick Nurse. Both these guys are championship coaches.
Monty Williams got the rawest of the deals. Budenholzer lost to the Miami Heat. Doc has not been able to get far in quite some time. 15 years or so.
Who which is the best job? Is it the Bucks, Suns, Sixers, or Raptors?
Suns.
Suns is the best job. Over Giannis and the Bucks?
Yeah. Giannis and the Bucks.
Yeah. The Suns are the best job over Giannis and the Bucks?
Yeah. It's Giannis and the Bucks. At least with the Suns, you got Devin Booker, you got, for now, DeAndre Ayton and Kevin Durant. That's a way better team than Giannis and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday and whoever else you're talking about over there.
And you don't touch the Sixers? If Joe Harris calls you and says you got Embiid, Maxey, Tobias Harris, and James Harden, what are you doing? You hanging up on them?
No. It's just not a better job than coaching the Phoenix Suns.
Okay. All right. Now, let's get to this felonious status, this ranking that you have. Okay. I want to know whose status is dropped in these playoffs. We talked about Ayton. We talked about Thompson.
Embiid.
Joel Embiid, James Harden.
I didn't say James Harden's stock has dropped because I didn't have him nearly as high as you. Joel Embiid's stock has dropped.
So he goes from is he a regular suspect to he's not a first timer. I mean,
he's still a usual suspect. He's caught in that limbo. Yeah.
Did he get an invite to the next level? Does the MVP get him a knock on the door? Do you even call him with the MVP?
Oh, the MVP gets you in that little foyer waiting area. That's where he is.
He's in the waiting area. He's not at the door. He's in the waiting area.
He's in the waiting area. Yeah.
Where's Klay Thompson? Because Klay had to be.
Oh God, he's got four championship rings. What are you talking about?
He's Are you calling for this basketball god in the offseason? Are you signing him?
Yeah.
Really? The Warriors should keep him. Warriors, him, Klay and Steph. Let's do it again. At $40 million, you want to do that again?
You see the way Steph runs around the court?
Yeah.
Trying to get the ball and trying to get open?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so multiply that times 3 without Klay Thompson on the court. He might as well just be running track and field.
But Klay is not doing it. Klay is not impacting. I don't think Klay
wasn't there. He did not. I cannot defend him. He did not show up this particular playoff.
So
run.
I'm not sure. So I mean, for $40 million, we have to sit down in a room, Klay. It's like, yo, we got to figure something out because you're not defending like he once did. You're not scoring like he once did. Like those are the two things.
Well, you're paying Jordan Poole 32, so you can't go any lower than that. So,
yeah, got a point.
This is basketball economics. They're okay, and they play in the chase, so they're all right.
Well, what is the collective bargaining agreement is going to change some of that next year. These teams aren't going to be able to overpay these guys, overpay that third guy. They're not going to be able to. And that third guy is Jordan Poole, so somebody's going to be on the blocks. Who is advancing your rankings now? Is Tatum? Where's Tatum? Is Tatum in the foyer?
Oh yeah, he was in the championship last year, of course.
Yeah, sadly, yeah, the injuries. Yeah. That's the sad situation. Yes. What about Jokic? What about Jokic? Is he right there in the foyer too? Where is he at?
He's in the foyer.
Okay. All right. So I projected a couple weeks ago Fox, Tatum, Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic was in my first team All NBA. I had Shea Mitchell, Doncic, Brown, Sabonis. I had Ja Morant as a third team All NBA. He didn't make it. So let's look at what the All NBA teams were for this year. We had Shea, Tatum, Embiid, Luka. I didn't know that Luka was All NBA. I was surprised by that. Were you surprised by Luka making an All NBA team? You thought it was All NBA? Look, I had him I had him second team. I had him second team. Second team, and I had Jokic in the first team. So switch out Jokic and Luka. That's how my second team went. I had Mitchell in the second team, Curry. I had Curry in the third team. Butler. I didn't have Butler at all. I had Butler
That's
at
a
all.
tough second. That's a tough second teamer, but okay.
Jaylen Brown. I did have Jaylen Brown on my second team. Yeah, I didn't have Butler on either one of my teams. I'm surprised that Butler made second team All NBA. Third team, Sabonis, Fox. Damian Lillard is another guy I was surprised about. Damian Lillard making All NBA. The third team, Julius Randle, and then LeBron made it. I did have Julius Randle. So Davis didn't make it. I was surprised about that. Anthony Davis didn't make either one of the teams. Again, I had Ja Morant. Damian Lillard, I was surprised by that. Were you surprised by Damian Lillard making the All NBA team?
He had some health issues. I wouldn't have been disappointed with someone else that kind
Portland stuck. Portland wasn't even in the running. Like, how does he make? Portland wasn't even running. He didn't play a lot of games.
I don't think wins and losses is a criteria for making All NBA teams.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me, Cleveland. So we saw the draft lottery. The draft lottery, I'm willing to admit that there was some funny stuff going on with the draft lottery. Like, we just saw the guys opening the envelopes. We need to go NBA, Adam Silver, go back to the ping pong balls bumping in the popcorn popper and seeing you guys pick the ping pong balls out of the popper. Let's go back to doing that. However, if you want to put the number of losses, so the Spurs had the most losses, you want to give them the most balls, that's fine. And then down the line, but we need to see the balls coming out of the ping pong, out of the popcorn popper, because the Spurs getting the number one pick, another French dude, that looks kind of shady. Would you agree, Cleveland?
Cam, I am so glad that Adam Silver listened to me after the last time he didn't do that with Zion. And Fat Albert is still down there in New Orleans eating beignets with a hamstring injury the last 6 months. He did the right thing. He didn't let this dude go to Charlotte or Indianapolis.
I thought Charlotte was. I was hoping. I had my fingers crossed.
He put him with Pop, a team that had the two greatest French basketball players of all time play for this dude. In the most perfect of a situation to be in. Thank you, Adam Silver, for not leaving it to chance that that's what you did. Then you did the right thing, my dude. Do not let this dude end up in Motown running around listening to Marvel Reeves and the Vandellas all day. Man, put that dude with Greg Popovich, your guy. You and G Pop are like this. So I don't understand why you couldn't be more happy for this guy. And he's got two, not one. He's got Tony Parker and Boris DL. Both played for this guy. Could not have worked out better unless you went into the thing and picked it out.
they clearly did that. They just didn't show America.
You're saying that's what happened. And I'm saying that's what happened. That Adam Silver, you learned from that Zion Williamson mistake. And you're not going to let it happen with this generational talent that's never been seen before.
I thought for sure when it came down to the last 4 picks and MJ was sitting there, MJ and Pop was sitting there, I thought for sure they were going to throw MJ a bone. I thought for sure. I thought LaMelo Ball and Victor Wembanyama. Come on, man. You know how many lobs that LaMelo be tossing him?
The only other team I would have liked to see him go to would have been Orlando to play with Paulo. But other than that, no.
I mean, I thought Portland might have been good. Portland might have been a good mix.
Oh, my God. Really?
I thought Portland
you gonna send Victor Wembanyama to Portland, Oregon
to play with Dame?
Man, get out of here.
You sent him to San Antonio. You sent him to San Antonio.
You sent him to Popovich and a team that's won 5 NBA championships.
Man, it felt so rigged. It felt so rigged.
Maybe it was rigged, and they rigged it the right way this time.
It felt so rigged. You're ecstatic he's going to San Antonio. So you're gonna get you a San Antonio jersey?
I mean, it is a better fit for him, and it's a better fit for the league. He doesn't need to go to some team and just be like just in anonymity. This is like a crazy type of player, man.
To go to the Spurs? Now you got the Spurs as like the premier place in the NBA. So I thought a couple things again. A couple things. You're right. I'm cool with Pop having them. I guess Pop played his cards perfect because they got rid of DeJounte Murray, sent him to Atlanta, and just stunk it up this season. Like, okay, we can make this work. Then we'll turn things around when we get Victor. But they still going to need more than Victor. Like he's not going to do it on his own, is he?
They got David Robinson the first time they tried this experiment. Unlike Philadelphia, like the Philadelphia experiment, the process that never really actually worked out. Let me tell you about these San Antonio Spurs. The first time they tried it, they ended up with a guy named David Robinson. The second time they tried it, they ended up with a guy named Tim Duncan. This time they tried it, they ended up with Big Vic, man. You already know they're in the playoffs. You already know that they're quite possibly in the Western Conference Finals already.
Oh, my goodness.
You don't need a whole bunch more, my dude.
Okay, we're gonna see how things work out for them. I was really hoping, though, when it came down to the last four, I was thinking MJ or Portland. I was thinking MJ, put him with Dame, since Dame doesn't want to leave Portland, at least give him somebody to run with. And MJ, like, they need MJ threatening to sell because he can't do nothing right. He can't pick a player. So I put him with, but Miller falls in his lap, so they got LaMelo and Miller. That'll be a nice backcourt. That will be a nice backcourt.
Sure, that might get you to the second round. At least into the
I mean, they'll be happy if they get the playoffs.
Yeah, at least into the playoffs.
They'll be happy if they just get to the playoffs.
Slow down. Let's get into the playoffs. Yeah.
Let's start there. Then they got the Rockets. I mean, the Rockets, Pistons, Magic, Pacers, Wizards, the Jazz, Mavericks. I was surprised at the Magic. I mean, they dropped down. They're number
8. With the 8 pick, right?
Yeah, like they don't get. I mean, but they did have Paulo. They got Paulo and Suggs. Like those, somebody gonna have to step up. Somebody's gonna have to step up.
Paulo's rookie of the year. They don't blame it on Paulo. Suggs,
no, I'm not blaming. I'm just saying they're gonna have to rookie year. Don't get you anything. Though. They weren't even in the hunt of the playoffs. That the rookie of the year don't get them anything. So yeah, I was surprised by that. I was surprised. It just felt kind of cheesy going into that. Fans, let's take a quick break. Cleveland, when we come back, we're going to wrap it up with our This Week in History, talk about some NHL. We're going to get into some boxing. Let's take a quick break right here.
All
right. Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name's Cameron.
Cam Buford.
You got some good questions today.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement. This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
I'm not worried about him right now. I'm worried about Crawford. I'm trying to get that fight made.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy?
Of course I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. You know, but at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Once you finish them off, do you feel you get the credit and the respect you deserve there?
It really don't matter. I'm just on a mission to become the best, welterweight in the division. After I get him, I want to fight the next best guy, the next best guy, the next best guy. Then once I clear the division, I'm gonna move up.
Think about it like this: the promoter pays the fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter, and the fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show voice of the fan,
Oh my goodness!
continues
gracious.
to
I'm in
evolve.
tears.
Come on, you were adding some spice to it.
It is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
The real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, Pacific Northwest. So, I think it's a big part of my game. And every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy
Yeah,
for the whole
yeah,
Mariners.
no, yeah,
I was
Ken,
trying to send them
nobody.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's the big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sports. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
All right, so we got some word from Ja Morant. He spoke, released a statement here. Quote: I know I've disappointed a lot of people who supported me, Morant said in a statement released Tuesday night by his representative. This is a journey, and I recognize there's more work to do. My words may not mean much right now, but I take full responsibility for my actions. I'm committed to continue to work on myself. That was released a short while after David Stern had his comments to make, and you got it right, Ja. Those words don't mean much, bro. You're gonna have a lot of time to think about the words and put in the work. And my immediate advice to you is go to the Boys Club. Donate a bunch of money to the Boys Club and start your after-school program and spend your time there, bro. That's my immediate word to you, and I think that's something that you should do immediately. That's what I would have. That's what I would have to do. That's my PR move, Cleveland. You got any PR suggestions for him?
No.
Cleveland is done. Cleveland don't want to hear it. He don't want to hear that. I'm giving you a chance, y'all. Go to the boy, donate some money to the Boys Club, start your after school program, and let everybody see you playing with the kids. No firearms allowed in the room, and playing and talking to the kids. That's what I would do right now. Cleveland, May 15, 1911. Kappa Alpha Phi was founded on the campus of Indiana University. Cleveland, are you a member of a fraternity? Excuse me, sir.
I am not. In my glory days, I had aspirations of being an alpha and then maybe a Q, but no, never worked out.
So what was the allure? Help me out, because I still have yet to find the allure for joining a fraternity. And what was the allure to you? Why did you think about it, and then why'd you reconsider, or why'd you elect not to?
You know, it's ironically, it's because I went to the University of Washington, and when I was thinking about doing it, it was because I was doing an internship at the University of Miami, and there was a lot of historical Black colleges down there, and the internship that I was doing had a lot of those members in the class, so to speak. And so it was just a much deeper thing down there, you know.
No, it is. It is certainly.
So yeah, culture wise and brotherhood
Yeah.
wise, and just kind of like what it meant was just far greater. And Seattle not having a very diverse minority population, and even especially University of Washington, it didn't have the same significance for me.
Sure.
So I just didn't follow through with it.
Okay. Yeah, man. It's down here. It's I mean, the whole college life is a whole, like, even if you don't do anything after college, most everybody seems to go to college and enjoy that. And up there, it was like it wasn't in my circle. It wasn't.
Yeah,
I was the first only one go to school, and I went to school as an adult, not in Seattle. So it was like it wasn't out here. And even when I lived in Virginia, like college life, it was what school you're going to coming out of high school. What school are you're going to, not are you going to school? And when I was in Seattle, it was like, are you going to school, or what are you going to do after school? In Virginia, it was like, which school are you going to? That's what kids were thinking about. Even down here now, is the Divine Nine and all. It's just so much more ingrained in the environment and society down here. It's just kind of weird. So I just was interested when I saw that. I did want to ask you that question. May 16th, 1826, Josh Rossworm became the first African-American college graduate in recorded history to receive a degree from Bowdoin College in Maine. And that was 1826. May 17th, 1954, U.S. Supreme Court ruled Brown versus Board of Education. The landmark decision was declared segregation in public schools was unconstitutional. This unanimous decision was read by Chief Justice Earl B. Warren. That was in 54, May 17, 1954. May 17, 1988, Dr. Patricia Bath, an ophthalmologist from New York, received a patent and became the first African-American woman doctor to receive a patent for a medical invention. Dr. Bath patented a method to remove cataract lenses, transform eye surgery using laser device to make a procedure more accurate. Pretty impressive. This is 1988. May 15th, 2023, Cleveland. Shohei Ohtani become the first pitcher to reach the base 5 times, Cleveland, in one game since 1954. You don't want to hear nothing about Shohei? You don't want to hear about Shohei? May 18, 1996, U.S. Supreme Court decision. Plessy versus Ferguson upheld the practice of separate but equal. This is 1896. Separate but equal. The decision was held. Do you recall? Are you familiar with separate but equal?
Plessy versus Ferguson is huge in the annals of American history. So yes,
separate but equal. We're the same. we're black and white folks are the same, but we're separated. And some stuff is allowed over here. That same stuff isn't allowed over here. How crazy was that world, man? How crazy. I remember telling my when I was in Virginia, telling the old dude, like, I would have been shot. I would have been shot back in those days, man, because I don't know how to be handled. He's like, nah, dude, you would have been just doing just what everybody else was doing. You wasn't shaking up the world like that. The Kraken. Let's applaud the Seattle Kraken for in their second year of existence, making it to the second round of NHL playoffs. Cleveland, this already in 2 years, they're more successful than the Seattle Mariners have ever been. In 2 years. What's your thoughts on that, Cleveland?
So in truth, Seattle Mariners have been to the playoffs 5 times, And
in 46 years, Cleveland. Don't leave that part out. In 46 years, they
have the most wins of any American League team ever.
Don't say it. In the regular season? Don't talk to. Are you talking about the regular season?
Yeah,
that's your words. Are you talking about the regular season?
I am.
Yeah, the most wins. Did they win anything? Did they get a ring for that? Or they just put up that fake
the
banner?
Kraken got to the second round of the Western Conference in hockey. That's great.
In 2 years, Cleveland, they have a 50% playoff appearance ratio. In 2 years, 50% they get to the playoffs 50% of the time. The Mariners, on the other hand, get to the playoffs 10% of the time. The Mariners stink. In 46 years, Cleveland, you said it. The Mariners got to the playoffs 5 times. Get out of here.
It's a weird stat. That's a weird stat, Cam. It's a weird stat. It's a weird stat.
It's a weird stat. That's history. 46 years, 5 times. You think that's a good thing? You think that's positive? You see some positive in there? 46 years, Cleveland, they got to the playoffs 5 times.
It's such a small sample size, Cameron. I mean,
what's the sample? 46 years is a small. 46 years.
You can put that sample size up against anybody. Like, you make the playoffs 50% of the time. I mean, that's kind of weird. I mean, that sounds like the Dolphins in the 70s, man. You make the playoffs like 50% of the time. You know what I'm saying? Then you go on a 50-year drought. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's hard to like really put that into words. You look like a buffoon.
Thank you. Judge, Aaron Judge, did you see the play where he looked at the plate, looks over to the dugout, and then knocks a ball 450 yards out the park? Are the Yankees tipping pitches, Cleveland?
Maybe.
So is that good? Is that kudos to Judge for that, or is that good Yankees or bad Yankees? Good Judge or bad Judge? What do you think?
Well, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I mean,
if you ain't cheating,
happens when you get caught. And baseball is notorious for, sign stealing.
It sounds like the Mariners need to do more cheating, huh? Because they ain't trying. Because if you get to the playoffs 5 times in 46 years, you need to do something. Something ain't going right.
Okay. Well,
maybe they need a.
Hey, Cam, I tried to
change their relocation.
I tried to bring you along. I tried to be the voice of reason last year. Hey, this year you're just going to have to be an observer.
I'm observing. Just show me something.
Okay.
That's all I can say. Show me something.
Okay. We'll get in the playoffs and show you something.
Rolando Romero beats up Barbosa on Saturday. I guess it wasn't even a beat up. Did you see this? I'm sure you didn't watch this fight. It was the most ridiculous stoppage I've seen. I can't say, a lot of people saying the worst stoppage ever. I can say it's the most ridiculous stoppage that I have personally seen, where Rolly was the one clean shot he landed, he hit him, and then he hit him with the right, and then kind of pushed him into the corner. He hit him and then pushed him into the corner. And then he went to flailing, and none of those punches landed, but the ref stopped the fight. Like, it was absolutely atrocious stopping. It's a sign that boxing is being rigged. It was a black eye for boxing. It was ridiculous. Hopefully boxing, with the Devin Haney versus Lomachenko fight this weekend, is able to kind of regain some credibility, because they lost a lot of credibility last Saturday night with that fight.
Well, answer me this question,
yes,
Cam, because someone mentioned this to me, and I couldn't verify or deny it. They said in the Tank Davis fight that one of the rounds that he got the knockdown got scored 9-9.
I think you're accurate. I think that is accurate. Because that knockdown happened late in the round, where the knockout you're talking about, not the knockdown. Because the knockdown, In fact, yes, it was in round 2 where he got the knockdown. It was 9-9 because oh boy was winning the round, but he ended up getting knocked down. Didn't get knocked out, but he got knocked down. So usually that's a 10-8 round, but because he was winning the round, they evened it up, which is odd. Tank ended up winning the fight, so it was a non.
So you don't win the round when you knock the dude down?
But he knocked him down late in the round, but the damage was kind of already done, if you will.
No, because you knocked that dude down.
Yeah, it wasn't a up and down a great showing. It wasn't a great showing, but again, Tank knocked him out, so it was a kind of a non-issue.
Fortunately for Tank, with that kind of scoring,
it was a non-issue.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee gets paid, takes a show to ESPN network. What do you think about Pat McAfee? Do you watch a show? Are you familiar with the show?
I do not watch a show. I am familiar with, he has some of those marquee athletes come on and talk with him and chat with him, and he has been able to parlay that into the big network. Good for him.
He parlayed his relationship with Peyton Manning right into a talk show, and I've seen it a couple times, but I'm just not a fan of Pat. Doesn't move me. I've seen it. I've seen the show. I know he does a good job. I actually saw the show live at the Super Bowl last year, but okay, good job. Kudos to him. I mean, kudos to Pat McAfee. You can't hang it on the guy. What's your thoughts on? Did you see the highlights of the Bills quarterbacks hitting home runs in Tampa Bay in the Tampa Bay ballpark? Excuse me. In the ball, who plays up north? Sorry, it's not Tampa Bay. They were up north. They were up north hitting home runs. Who plays up in Buffalo? Obviously, they're playing in Canada, but who's up there? Toronto Blue Jays. Thank you.
Okay.
I couldn't. I'm sorry. I was having a brain fart. So they were hitting home runs out of the ballpark, though. What's your thoughts on an intersport home run derby? Anything?
No.
Is that doable?
No.
Is that doable? Would you like to see it? Would you watch Josh Allen, the quarterbacks? You know, they watch them golf. Would you watch Josh Allen or say J.R. Smith or LeBron James hit a home run? Would you watch that? No, not interested.
I mean, that's not something they can consistently do, so it would be kind of a moot point.
You don't think they could consistently in the summertime they can get some ball players, some NFL players? NBA
No,
players
they could consistently get participants, but the participants couldn't consistently hit home runs, so it would be kind of a moot point.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think there's any players in the NBA or the NFL? I mean, receivers maybe.
Quarterbacks, most notably, because they're the most likely to have played baseball before.
Receivers? You don't think the receivers are cornerbacks? You don't think they?
They weren't great baseball players. That's why they're cornerbacks.
I challenge. I would challenge that. I would challenge that. They were athletes. Like Dion was able to play. I mean, obviously,
home run hitter.
Good point. I would think more than what you're saying. Quarterbacks certainly. I would think there'd be some receivers. What's the boy from Minnesota? Thielen. I think Thielen could probably knock a couple out. I think Odell Beckham could probably hit some home runs. Like if somebody pitched, he can hit 10 out of 20. No. Wow. I disagree with that. I'd like to see it anyway. You don't think Damian Lillard can take some balls out of the ballpark? Paul George? Like Paul might be too tall. They can't be 6'7", 6'8". Like Austin Reeves. You don't think Austin Reeves could take some balls out of the ballpark? I don't know, man. I disagree with that Talking about at the ballpark, we didn't talk about this. This was happened last week, but Bama fires their head coach for improper actions involving betting on games. Did you see that?
I did see that.
What? The report said the guy said, "Well, how often are college games bet on?" The guy says, "Well, we probably had 3 bets on college baseball in the last 10 years." And then all of a sudden, they get some $1,000 bets on some college baseball games. Come on, guys. We can't hide it a little bit better than that. We can't.
They did such a bad job of hiding this, Cam.
We can't
They
go.
did such a bad job of hiding this. They didn't even use a burner phone to make the call, right? It was from some weird cheap payphone. And then they didn't even move like a couple of people to make the bets. It was just one guy. And lastly, he pulled his starting pitcher out of the rotation for that game.
I mean, come on. The first thing that says, the guy says, how many, the first question I heard, how often do people bet on college games, college baseball games? The guy says, well, we may have had 3 in the last 10 years. This guy's nobody will find out. We're putting $1,000 on games. Come on, man. That was you deserve to be fired. And then Iowa currently has players under investigation for online betting. I mean, online betting, that's a little bit more sensitive because everybody's doing some type of form of online betting. So to catch those guys, I thought was kind of funny. We had to talk about that. WNBA starting up this week. Cleavon, any interest in the WNBA? Any at all?
Sure.
You watch the W?
Watched a little bit.
Do you? Okay. Have you been to a WNBA game? Oh, well, you got the Seattle Storm up there. You know what it's about.
Storm are 4-time champs, but no, I have not been to one.
You have not been to a game? Mm-hmm. I've been to a few in WNBA game. Well, and I covered the LA Sparks out there for a little bit. But I've been before I covered the games. I have been to a couple games, and it was the audience in the stadium. I didn't feel exactly welcomed. Let me put it like that. I didn't feel exactly welcomed when I was in the arena until I was covering the games. And I felt kind of
an intruder, like you're an intruder. That's what I didn't want to say. That's one of the reasons I haven't been just like really just really excited about going down because I've heard that before.
Except for the the little girls go there and they're there to have a good time. Very few little boys, but there's some there. But by the general population that was there, yeah, I didn't feel like I was welcome.
Looking out of place, like what are you doing here?
That was a weird feeling. But covering the WNBA, like I appreciate the whole player development piece aspect. So male, female, that doesn't matter. Those girls are good. There's some girls pretty good, and they were cool and cordial. So I enjoyed covering them.
The one thing that I do appreciate about the WNBA more than the NBA, it is more physical.
The WNBA is more physical?
Way more physical.
I didn't see it. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But the girls are cool. I mean, the girls are skilled. That's what I appreciate. The girls are skilled. The Rays, Major League Baseball stories, top Major League Baseball stories. Cleveland. What I found is the Rays only 30-win team in the league so far. Does this mean anything? It's still too early to kind of figure this stuff out. They're only 31 teams. We're 40 games in.
Yes,
Still too early.
Still too early.
You got another 20 games before things start to matter.
Yes.
The AL East. I mean, they're the only division with all all teams having 20 or more wins. Did that make them the best team in the division or in the best division in the majors?
Yes.
And the A's reach a deal for Vegas. Well, when they sign this deal, when they move to Vegas into the brand new stadium, will things suddenly turn around for the A's, you think?
You know, Cam, I don't know if Vegas is really the demographic for a baseball team per se. I mean, it's 81 games. It's a lot of games. So, I mean, I would think that if it was kind of like one of those things where you play a quarter of your games there, or, you know, it's kind of like half your home, but like all your games there, I don't know.
I mean, the Raiders is playing all their games there.
That's 8 games. It's like 81 in the sun. I mean, I know they're going to have a roof.
They're going to have a dome. They're going to have the roof. They got to have a dome. They got to have a dome.
But
they got to have a dome.
Still, Vegas, there's so many other things to do.
How big is T-Mobile Park? What is it? T-Mobile Park now? How big is T-Mobile? How many seats?
46.
This one's going to have 30. So, I mean, it's going to be a nice intimate crowd. There's people always in Vegas. So, I mean, they may have, if you're able to get 10 locals, 10,000 locals every game, and another 10 visitors.
Is that how you're spending your 7 to 10 in 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock in Vegas? Watching a baseball game?
If you're visiting, yes, because you got all night to recuperate.
If you're visiting, you're gonna go to Las Vegas and spend your 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock watching a baseball game.
Well, it's 7 o'clock to 9:30 because the games are so fast now.
7 o'clock to 9:30. You gonna take your time doing that?
Yeah, before the party gets started. Yeah, that's a warm up. That's a warm up, right?
Maybe so.
I mean, that's a warm up. Everybody, what else you gonna do? Go to the casino?
I mean, it's Las Vegas. You could be doing all kinds of things.
But
that's
now
the whole point.
Now you can be at a ball game, tipping them back. Before you go out to the clubs, or before you go out to the gentleman clubs, or you go out to the pool parties,
or the whatever. Yeah. Okay, well,
yeah.
Sure.
I mean, that is yes. If yes, if you're going to a show, I mean, if they play a game at 5 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock, so you can get to the 9 o'clock show. Absolutely, 10 o'clock show.
I will be interested to see what kind of schedule they have there.
I mean, again, it probably needs to be earlier, like 5 or 6 o'clock. It probably might need to be a little earlier. So then again,
I'm interested to see what type of schedule they have. Yeah,
that's a pre-hype. That's a pre-hype. I mean, I don't know how many people is going to be in the seats. Now there, they need to have a lot of standing room only. A lot of I could see having how Seattle has the deck where you can kind of walk around the field and see the view and everything. You might need to have essentially they're going to have the gaming, right? You're in Vegas, so you can have gaming and betting. So they're going to have some slot machines that you could probably be playing, hitting the slots at the ballpark. Come on, live action betting. Come on. Yeah, they're gonna get 10 to 15 people.
You really think they're gonna let them bet on the Las Vegas A's at the game? Cut that out, man.
I mean, why else would you? If they
no,
want.
You cannot bet on the Las Vegas A's. That's one of the things you can't do.
If they want that extra 10,000 people in the stadium, yes, they're gonna have to open that up. I would assume it's coming.
Okay,
it's coming. It might not be tomorrow.
And the University of Alabama head coach it's about to be their manager.
Maybe so. They might.
If you're gonna allow them, if you're gonna allow them to bet on the game, yeah.
So Cleveland, how far are we into the season? Into this Major League Baseball season?
42 games.
42 games. What's that? About 2 months. So we finally get to have a Mariners minute. Cleveland, talk to us about these Mariners who just barely over 500, 21-20 right now, 4 games back, 6-4. Talk about these Mariners and are they still in line to win the West as you predicted?
You know, Cam, they have really good pitching. The hitting has not come along as we had hoped. Julio is still not hit the superstar stride just yet this season. Hoping he breaks out of his slump here fairly soon. Kelnick has come up, established himself. So that's been great to see. We'll see if they can figure it all out. Still got confidence in him though. Great pitcher.
Will they have any All-Stars at the Major League Baseball All-Star game they're hosting this season? Will there be any All-Stars on the?
At least 4.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
With the team that's 500 and number 4 in their division?
The All-Star game is in Seattle, so they'll have at least 4.
I think that name the 4, because I can only name Julio, not Francisco Rodriguez.
Julio will be an All-Star, get voted in. Ty France at first base could potentially get voted in. The catcher Cal Raleigh can get voted in.
You sure?
And at least 2 pitchers.
You positive?
Feel pretty good about that, yeah.
You got anything on that?
Not quite yet. Not quite yet.
What are we waiting for?
We're waiting for them to come through.
The season's in full swing.
We'll come through mid-June. Mid-June we'll reassess.
Mid-June?
Mid-June.
That's when the picks come out. The picks come out in mid-June.
Late June. Late June the picks come out.
Oh, so you want to wait a week before the picks come out to say who's going to be All-Star?
To really truly assess if there's 4 of them. I'm saying 4.
Come on, man. We're 41 games into the season. You can't say who's going to be an All-Star or not.
I just named 3, 2 for sure, and quite possibly 2 pitchers.
Okay. Well, fans, we want to thank you guys for tuning in to Voice of the Fans podcast. We want to give our shout out to our man George, who chimed in, Mr. George IV from KC, chimed in and had something to talk about. And Cleveland, we're going to end the show with this quote. One man practicing sportsmanship is better than 50 men preaching it. One man practicing sportsmanship is far better than 50 men preaching it. Cleveland, that came from the great Newt Rockne. The great Newt Rockne from way back in the day. Have great sportsmanship, guys. This week, treat somebody. Do something nice for somebody this week, fans. And once again, I tell you, everybody, to make sure you go hug and kiss somebody close to you. Tell them you love them, because we just never know how many days left we have on this planet. And it's got some startling news today. Really impactful. Like a loss of cousin. It's just was so close to me. That you just never know, man. So you just never know. Make sure you go hug somebody close to you, fans. And thank you guys for tuning in to Voice of the Fans podcast. We appreciate your time, Cleveland. Appreciate you for joining us. Fans, we'll do it again next week, next Tuesday evening. Be sure to join us, Voice of the Fans podcast. Check us out on Twitter at Voice of the Fans. Check us out on YouTube. Make sure you spread the word. Cleveland, thank you for being a part of the show. Let the people know how they can find you.
At Cleveland on Instagram and Cleveland on Twitter.
Have a good one, fans. Thank you guys once again. Thank you for letting our voice. Thank you for letting our voice be your choice. Thank you.